Have you ever found yourself wondering what it's like to float through a place where time has no edge, where sound never arrives, and where every breath feels like the beginning of a dream? If so, you're in the right place now. Let your body rest. Let your hands grow still, your shoulders fall into softness. There's no need to rush or think. Just listen to the slow rhythm of my voice and let yourself drift. We're going far, far away, to where the stars are just beginning to wake. This is your invitation to exhale, to let go, and to journey with me into the deepest, gentlest corners of space. Far beyond the moon's silvery orbit, and past the soft pull of familiar gravity, there rests a ship known only to those who dream with open eyes. She is called Somnora, not a vessel of war or speed, but a ship of peace, built not for reaching a destination, but for floating through the stories written in stardust. Her body is smooth and curved, a soft pearl-white form that glides soundlessly through the darkness. Inside, she is warm, quiet. Every room is wrapped in soothing tones, dusk blue walls, soft golden lights that dim with your breath, and windows that stretch across the walls like open pages into the universe. And beyond those windows, the great expanse unfolds, ink-black space slowly giving way to something else. You are approaching the Nebula of Veloria, a vast celestial bloom of gas and dust suspended in the dark, like a painting made of mist and memory. As your ship enters the outer edge, the stars around you begin to blur. Their shapes stretch slightly like they're yawning, relaxing into soft folds of nebular glow. The silence becomes deeper, thicker. There is no noise, just the velvet hum of Somnora's quiet systems gently guiding you inward. The nebula's clouds stretch like the trails of dreams, curling and folding upon themselves in pale ribbons. Lavender and silver swirl together, touched with hints of rose and amber. It's not bright, not like daylight. It's a soft, inner light, the kind that comes before waking. Light here doesn't shine. It glows. It shimmers faintly on the surface of your skin, warm like a memory you didn't know you had. Through the wide observation dome, you see the cosmic ballet unfold, tendrils of gas weaving in slow spirals, dancing with gravity's unseen hand. Every particle of dust is illuminated by stars being born, gentle, pulsing lights like fireflies caught in syrup. As you float deeper into Veloria, you notice how your sense of time has changed. Seconds stretch, minutes blend, and you stop measuring anything. Even your heartbeat seems to slow, syncing with the ebb and flow of the space around you. In this place, nothing hurries, nothing demands. Even the light travels slowly, filtering through clouds of dust with the patience of eternity. It is here, in this tranquil hush, that dreams are written, not in ink, but in glow, in motion, in softness. A cluster of protostars drifts just ahead, their halos of gas faint and golden. Each one breathes softly, exhaling streams of color like sighs. These stars are not yet awake. They are still dreaming, resting in the safety of the nebula's arms. You drift past them in your ship, the curved glass of the observation window, fogging slightly as if the ship itself were sighing, relaxing alongside you. For a long time, you simply watch. You don't speak. There is no need. The nebula speaks in light, in motion, in the gentle tug of its presence all around you. In one corner of the nebula you see a rare structure, a swirling loop of gas shaped like a great spiral shell. Inside its curves, pale blues shift into warm golds, forming soft echoes of a forgotten lullaby. It's not music, not truly, but it feels like a song, a rhythm that moves through your body without sound. You imagine it might be the pulse of the universe itself, slow, steady, and infinite. And in that moment, something inside you loosens. A thought you hadn't noticed fades. A worry, distant as Earth itself, simply lets go. The Somnora glides onward, her path uncharted, but never lost. You are safe here. There are no wrong directions in this part of space. Only drifting. Only becoming. Each cloud you pass reveals a new hue, a new story, gentle arcs of green curling through violet mist, soft pulses of orange fading into blue. The stars do not blink here, they breathe, and so do you. You rest your head against the soft edge of your seat, eyes half closed, and let yourself become part of it all. The silence, the glow, the hush of becoming. In this place where dreams are written in dust and glow, you are more than just a traveler. You are a note in the cosmic lullaby, floating gently between now and forever. The ship moves without urgency, following the slow breath of the nebula. Here, motion is not about reaching a point, but about drifting through beauty itself. The nebula winds are faint and ancient, curling around Somnora like soft fabric rigged by some celestial breeze. You float in the silence, eyes half-lidded, mind gentle and wide open. The colors outside your window begin to shift again, delicate seafoam green folding into deeper shades of twilight blue. The stars in this part of Valoria appear softer still, wrapped in veils of dust that scatter their light like glowing whispers. Everything here seems to speak in hushes and pauses, in meanings felt through the skin rather than heard with the ear. Your cabin darkens slightly to match the dimming light beyond the glass. The ship's gentle systems respond to your comfort, without a word, adjusting warmth, tilting ever so slightly to give you the best view of what's ahead. You're approaching what the ancient sky watchers once called the Still Garden, a dense region of cosmic dust and gas where new suns are born, but in such slow rhythms it feels like time itself stands still. Within it, small light buds float, glowing golden pink at their centers, trailing long threads of cool white mist behind them. They drift like jellyfish in an endless sea, moving with the dignity of dreams not yet realized. One of these light buds passes close to your window, so close you could imagine reaching out and touching it. It pulses with a rhythm that matches your own breath. Inhale, glow, bright. Exhale, soften. There is something comforting in that symmetry, as if the universe has tuned itself to you, not the other way around. For a moment, you feel entirely weightless, not just in body, but in soul. The thoughts that used to chatter at the back of your mind have long since fallen quiet, replaced by a peaceful awareness of light, of distance, of being part of something vast and unhurried. Outside, a stream of stardust fans outward like a comet's tail illuminated by unseen suns. The dust forms patterns as it moves, spirals, waves, then ribbons, curling like cosmic handwriting. You wonder if the stars could write letters. Would they look like this? Would they be messages from one galaxy to another, passed across eons, gently carried in light and glow? Inside Somnora, the hum continues, low and steady, like the purr of a great cosmic animal sleeping soundly. There are no sharp beeps or human chatter, only the occasional soft tone, like wind chimes made of moonlight. The ship does not rush. It understands that here, in this realm of whispers and wonder, time must be soft and slow, and so it offers you the gift of stillness. You rise gently from your seat and float toward the rear observatory, where a dome of crystal glass opens directly above you. Lying back, you gaze upward into the slow bloom of the nebula's heart. Tendrils of light stretch across the sky in long arcs, their colors deepening, rose gold turning into copper, sapphire into deep velvet indigo. The stars begin to space themselves out like candle flames scattered across a midnight cathedral. In the silence, you feel something, not a sound, but a sensation, a presence, as though the nebula itself is aware of you, recognizing you not as an intruder, but as a gentle traveler, a dreamer. It doesn't speak, it welcomes. You feel this welcome in the way the clouds part before your ship, in the way the light lingers. Just a moment longer on your skin. You are not alone, not truly. There are others who have drifted here before, other voyagers of sleep, other listeners of cosmic lullabies. Their energy remains like warm footprints in stardust. And now you are part of this silent choir, moving slowly through the galaxy's ancient breath. You close your eyes for a moment. When you open them again, you see something new. A long, vertical column of light rising through the nebula like a beacon. It is not solid, not fixed, but it flickers with purpose. Some call it the axis of dreams, a pillar of energy where gravity bends slightly, making time even more fluid, more flexible. Somnora adjusts its course, gently curving toward the light. As the ship nears it, the stars seem to stretch further, apart the space between them humming with deeper tones like a subsonic lullaby. And as you gaze upward into the swirling glow, a thought enters your mind, not from you, but from the nebula itself. You are exactly where you need to be. There's no pressure in the message, no demand. Just a soft certainty, like being wrapped in warm blankets after a long day. You smile without realizing it. The breath in your lungs is easy, slow. Your fingers tingle lightly as if kissed by drifting photons. And your heart begins to echo the pulse of the stars around you. The nebula continues to unfold, and Somnora drifts on. More colors appear now, shades you don't have names for, hues that seem to exist between emotions rather than on a spectrum. Pale longing, quiet joy, deep remembrance. These colors pass across the glass, and your skin like forgotten lullabies, and somewhere in the farthest part of your awareness, you begin to feel sleep brushing the edges of your mind, not to take you fully, but to hold you gently as the story unfolds. The axis of dreams rises like a spiral cathedral, a column not of stone, but of light and intent. As Somnora draws closer, the glow thickens around the ship, wrapping it in cascading veils of golden shimmer and gentle violet mist. The ship's motion slows even further now, until it feels less like travel and more like floating in the pause between thoughts. You drift in a sea of color and warmth, where even gravity forgets to pull. Within this column, the very structure of time bends softly. It is said that inside the axis, moments can echo, memories can ripple outward, and dreams take on form like breath in cold air. You aren't entirely sure if it's true or if it matters. What you know is that everything here feels kind, quiet, and endlessly patient. The ship's walls turn nearly translucent in response to the light around it. You can see the layered glow filtering through the very bones of Somnora, casting long, dappled shadows across the floor like celestial lace. You lie down on a reclining couch beneath the wide dome of the observatory. The cushions form around your shape, offering no resistance, only welcome. Above you, the axis spirals gently, not rotating in haste, but unfolding in slow arcs like a flower made of sunbeams and memory. And within its folds, you begin to notice something new. Not stars this time. Not clusters or dust streams, but floating shapes. Pale, semi-transparent forms drifting like echoes through the light. They resemble architecture at first. Arched bridges, circular towers, looping stairways, but as they shift, their forms become more abstract, more like ideas remembered from a dream. These structures do not appear built. They appear remembered, like the lingering images you sometimes see just before waking. A tall spire wrapped in rings of soft fire, a bridge with no beginning or end, held aloft by nothing but will. A room with no walls, only music made visible, in swirling color. As you float deeper into the axis, you begin to understand. This is a memory library etched in starlight. Not yours alone, but everyone's. An accumulation of gentle thoughts left behind by dreamers who passed this way before. The light carries impressions, old emotional echoes given form by the energy of the nebula. A child's laughter captured in the flicker of golden flame. A farewell kiss suspended like a drop of dew inside a violet orb. These are not haunting memories. They do not cling. They flow. They shimmer. They dance slowly past you, offering no story unless you wish to follow. One such memory drifts close. It appears first as a swirl of pale silver light, shaped like a flower made from breath. Then, slowly, it unfolds into a scene, a wide plain beneath a turquoise sky, stars raining softly like snowflakes. A lone figure stands on the plain, there, arms raised as if conducting the sky. There is no sound, but you feel the emotion radiating from the scene. Awe, gentle solitude, and deep connection. The vision lingers for a moment, then shivers like mist and dissolves, its particles rejoining the flowing current of the axis. You smile, warmed not just by the beauty, but by the reminder that even in the vastness of space, human dreams leave fingerprints. The ship hums again, almost like it's pleased. The couch beneath you slowly tilts, guiding your gaze upward, as Somnora aligns with the very center of the axis. Here, the glow is softer, more diffused, like morning light, filtered through silk. And within it drifts something unexpected, a cluster of crystal shapes, each the size of a small stone, rotating slowly in zero gravity. They sparkle with faint music, inaudible but deeply felt, like the sensation of holding a favorite memory close to your heart. As you watch, one of the crystals floats toward the glass. It doesn't strike. It lingers as if looking in. You feel no fear, only curiosity. Then the crystal emits a soft pulse of light, and in your mind's eye you see something. A path, unfolding ahead, marked by gently glowing arches of light stretching across the nebula. This is an invitation, a continuation, a message from the heart of Valoria itself. You nod slowly, your breath a whisper. The crystal pulses once more, then drifts away, rejoining the slow orbit of its companions. The ship's course shifts, turning softly toward the arches ahead. You feel the engines respond with the gentlest vibration, like a sigh made of stars. Outside, the labyrinth of light unfolds, each archway opening into another curve of glowing mist, leading you onward through a spiral of color. And hush. And as Somnora enters the first gate, you realize something quietly beautiful. You are not lost in this nebula. You are being guided, gently, lovingly, by something older than time and softer than silence. The ship moves without urgency, following the slow breath of the nebula. Here, motion is not about reaching a point, but about drifting through beauty itself. The nebula winds are faint and ancient, curling around Somnora like soft fabric would by some celestial breeze. You float in the silence, eyes half-lidded, mind gentle and wide open. The colors outside your window begin to shift again, delicate seafoam green folding into deeper shades of twilight blue. The stars in this part of Valoria appear softer still, wrapped in veils of dust that scatter their light like glowing whispers. Everything here seems to speak in hushes and pauses, in meanings felt through the skin rather than heard with the ear. Your cabin darkens slightly to match the dimming light beyond the glass. The ship's gentle systems respond to your comfort. Without a word, adjusting warmth, tilting ever so slightly to give you the best view of what's ahead. You're approaching what the ancient sky watchers once called the Still Garden, a dense region of cosmic dust and gas where new suns are born, but in such slow rhythms it feels like time itself stands still. Within it, small light buds float, glowing golden pink at their centers, trailing long threads of cool white mist behind them. They drift like jellyfish in an endless sea, moving with the dignity of dreams not yet realized. One of these light buds passes close to your window, so close you could imagine reaching out and touching it. It pulses with a rhythm that matches your own breath. Inhale, glow, bright. Exhale, soften. There is something comforting in that symmetry, as if the universe has tuned itself to you, not the other way around. For a moment, you feel entirely weightless, not just in body, but in soul. The thoughts that used to chatter at the back of your mind have long since fallen quiet, replaced by a peaceful awareness of light, of distance, of being part of something vast and unhurried. Outside, a stream of stardust fans outward like a comet's tail, illuminated by unseen suns. The dust forms patterns as it moves, spirals, waves, then ribbons curling like cosmic handwriting. You wonder if the stars could write letters. Would they look like this? Would they be messages from one galaxy to another, passed across eons, gently carried in light and glow? Inside Somnora, the hum continues, low and steady, like the purr of a great cosmic animal sleeping soundly. There are no sharp beeps or human chatter, only the occasional soft tone, like wind chimes made of moonlight. The ship does not rush. It understands that here, in this realm of whispers and wonder, time must be soft and slow. And so it offers you the gift of stillness. You rise gently from your seat and float toward the rear observatory, where a dome of crystal glass opens directly above you. Lying back, you gaze upward into the slow bloom of the nebula's heart. Tendrils of light stretch across the sky in long arcs, their colors deepening, rose gold turning into copper, sapphire into deep velvet indigo. The stars begin to space themselves out, like candle flames scattered across a midnight cathedral. In the silence, you feel something, not a sound, but a sensation, a presence. As though the nebula itself is aware of you, recognizing you not as an intruder, but as a gentle traveler, a dreamer. It doesn't speak. It welcomes. You feel this welcome in the way the clouds part before your ship, in the way the light lingers just a moment longer on your skin. You are not alone, not truly. There are others who have drifted here before, other voyagers of sleep, other listeners of cosmic lullabies. Their energy remains like warm footprints in stardust. And now, you are part of this silent choir, moving slowly through the galaxy's ancient breath. You close your eyes for a moment. When you open them again, you see something new. A long, vertical column of light rising through the nebula like a beacon. It is not solid, not fixed, but it flickers with purpose. Some call it the axis of dreams, a pillar of energy where gravity bends slightly, making time even more fluid, more flexible. Somnora adjusts its course, gently curving toward the light. As the ship nears it, the stars seem to stretch further apart, the space between them humming with deeper tones like a subsonic lullaby. And as you gaze upward into the swirling glow, a thought enters your mind, not from you, but from the nebula itself. You are exactly where you need to be. There's no pressure in the message, no demand, just a soft certainty, like being wrapped in warm blankets after a long day. You smile without realizing it. The breath in your lungs is easy, slow. Your fingers tingle lightly as if kissed by drifting photons. And your heart begins to echo the pulse of the stars around you. The nebula continues to unfold, and Somnora drifts on. More colors appear now, shades you don't have names for, hues that seem to exist between emotions rather than on a spectrum. Pale longing, quiet joy, deep remembrance. These colors pass across the glass, and your skin like forgotten lullabies, and somewhere in the farthest part of your awareness, you begin to feel sleep brushing the edges of your mind, not to take you fully, but to hold you gently as the story unfolds. The axis of dreams rises like a spiral cathedral, a column not of stone, but of light and intent. As Somnora draws closer, the glow thickens around the ship, wrapping it in cascading veils of golden shimmer and gentle violet mist. The ship's motion slows even further now, until it feels less like travel and more like floating in the pause between thoughts. You drift in a sea of color and warmth, where even gravity forgets to pull. Within this column, the very structure of time bends softly. It is said that inside the axis, moments can echo, memories can ripple outward, and dreams take on form like breath in cold air. You aren't entirely sure if it's true or if it matters. What you know is that everything here feels kind, quiet, and endlessly patient. The ship's walls turn nearly translucent in response to the light around it. You can see the layered glow filtering through the very bones of Somnora, casting long, dappled shadows across the floor like celestial lace. You lie down on a reclining couch beneath the wide dome of the observatory. The cushions form around your shape, offering no resistance, only welcome. Above you, the axis spirals gently, not rotating in haste, but unfolding in slow arcs like a flower made of sunbeams and memory. And within its folds, you begin to notice something new. Not stars this time. Not clusters or dust streams, but floating shapes. Pale, semi-transparent forms drifting like echoes through the light. They resemble architecture at first. Arched bridges, circular towers, looping stairways, but as they shift, their forms become more abstract, more like ideas remembered from a dream. These structures do not appear built. They appear remembered. like the lingering images you sometimes see just before waking. A tall spire wrapped in rings of soft fire, a bridge with no beginning or end, held aloft by nothing but will, a room with no walls, only music made visible, in swirling color. As you float deeper into the axis, you begin to understand this is a memory library etched in starlight, not yours alone, but everyone's, an accumulation of gentle thoughts left behind by dreamers who passed this way before. The light carries impressions, old emotional echoes given form by the energy of the nebula. A child's laughter captured in the flicker of golden flame. A farewell kiss suspended like a drop of dew inside a violet orb. These are not haunting memories. They do not cling. They flow, they shimmer, they dance slowly past you, offering no story unless you wish to. Follow. One such memory drifts close. It appears first as a swirl of pale silver light, shaped like a flower made from breath. Then slowly it unfolds into a scene, a wide plain beneath a turquoise sky, stars raining softly like snowflakes. A lone figure stands on the plain there, arms raised as if conducting the sky. There is no sound, but you feel the emotion radiating from the scene. Awe, gentle solitude, and deep connection. The vision lingers for a moment, then shivers like mist and dissolves, its particles rejoining the flowing current of the axis. You smile, warmed not just by the beauty, but by the reminder that even in the vastness of space, human dreams leave. Fingerprints. The ship hums again, almost like it's pleased. The couch beneath you slowly tilts, guiding your gaze upward as Somnora aligns with the very center of the axis. Here the glow is softer, more diffused, like morning light, filtered through silk. And within it drifts something unexpected, a cluster of crystal shapes, each the size of a small stone rotating slowly in zero gravity. They sparkle with faint music, inaudible but deeply felt, like the sensation of holding a favorite memory close to your heart. As you watch, one of the crystals floats toward the glass. It doesn't strike. It lingers as if looking in. You feel no fear, only curiosity. Then the crystal emits a soft pulse of light, and in your mind's eye, you see something. A path, unfolding ahead, marked by gently glowing arches of light stretching across the nebula. This is an invitation, a continuation, a message from the heart of Valoria itself. You nod slowly, your breath a whisper. The crystal pulses once more, then drifts away, rejoining the slow orbit of its companions. The ship's course shifts, turning softly toward the arches ahead. You feel the engines respond with the gentlest vibration, like a sigh made of stars. Outside, the labyrinth of light unfolds, each archway opening into another curve of glowing mist, leading you onward through a spiral of color. And hush. And as Somnora enters the first gate, you realize something quietly beautiful. You are not lost in this nebula. You are being guided, gently, lovingly, by something older than time and softer than silence. The arches of light drift past your window like quiet sentinels, glowing with the faint warmth of a memory just out of reach. Each one curves with graceful ease, forming a passage not meant to enclose, but to invite, guiding your vessel through. A spiral corridor shaped by the dreams of 1,000 star-born winds. As Somnora glides forward, the light bends inward, folding around you like a lullaby spun from gravity and glow. The nebula outside is darker now, not in the way of fear, but like the hush of a cathedral at night. Shadows stretch deeper. Stars appear less like points and more like thoughts, slow, distant, pulsing. You feel them watching, not with eyes, but with presence. Patient. Listening. Your cabin responds again to the change. The lights dim to the tone of starlit pewter, and the ceiling opens wider to reveal the full sweep of the passage above. The arches ahead begin to shimmer faintly as though waking from long sleep. Between them float slow orbs of silver mist, each trailing threads of pale blue. They do not spin. They drift. Some call them ghost lights, but there is nothing frightening in them. They are the wandering dreams of extinct stars, residues of suns that have already lived their long, radiant lives and chosen now to rest. Their presence here is not accidental. They have come to remember and to be remembered. You pass one especially large orb as it hovers near the glass. For a moment, it seems to glance toward you, not turning, but noticing. Within its pale core, you catch the faintest glimpse of something, not quite an image, not quite a voice, more like the sensation of standing on ancient stone under a twilight sky. A wind brushing your skin. A name you knew long ago but can't recall now. These orbs are not memories. They are feelings that survived their stars. Emotions left behind, preserved like glimmering fossils in time's great sea. The orb drifts onward, and a faint trail of shimmer follows in its wake like a comet's sigh. It does not look back. None of them do, but their presence lingers, soft as a whispered promise. Then the ship crosses the veil, a shift in the flow of the nebula, where light folds upon itself and creates a moment of near darkness. It's not black, not empty, just very still. No stars. No glowing clouds. Just a velvet pause. The kind of silence that makes you feel the full depth of your breath. Here, even Somnora slows. The ship's heartbeat dims to a slow, low thrum, and you feel your body responding without thought, muscles relaxing, fingers releasing tension you didn't know they held. In this space between brightness, you sense a sacred stillness, a womb of calm. And then, from the distance, a glimmer returns. Faint at first, like a flicker at the edge of a thought. It's a single star, but not like the others. This one is not yet born. It sits in a cocoon of soft, folding matter, breathing ever so slowly. You watch it, transfixed, as Somnora drifts gently closer. The star glows not with light, but with possibility. Around it, the gas stirs in slow spirals, cradling it like a sleeping child. You feel something in your chest, a warmth, a remembering. You do not know this star, and yet, in its glow, there is recognition. It is the kind of light that knows darkness deeply, and does not fear it. This is a place where light remembers what it means to rest, and darkness learns it is not alone. You remain here for a while, just floating, just watching. The ship does not rush you. The nebula does not fade. The silence remains sacred. The star does not wake, and you are grateful for that. For the beauty of its sleeping, the power of its pause. Some lights, you think, are not meant to shine brightly. Some are meant to glow quietly in the depths, like secrets the universe tells only to those who are still enough to hear. Eventually, Somnora shifts again, a gentle hum, a soft tone. The ship turns away from the unborn star, its course resuming. Along the arc of the glowing arches that stretch now farther, curving upward and outward into the next region of Valoria. The mist returns, gold and rose now, with hints of green that flicker like candlelight in the far distance. You lie back, again feeling your breath sink once more with the rhythm of space, and you wonder what other dreams await in the fold of this great cosmic bloom. As Somnora follows the rising arc of the arches, the nebula begins to stretch out into what looks like a vast plain, endless, clouded, glowing with a low, ambient radiance. This region is known among dream navigators as the Valleys of Sleeping. Suns, though no one has ever measured it or mapped it in full. Here, great celestial hollows drift, wide as oceans and soft as feathers. They stretch between vast folds of gas and shadow, cradling the slumbering light of stars not yet formed, or perhaps long since faded. It's impossible to say which, because in this part of the cosmos, beginnings and endings hold hands. What matters is the stillness, the surrender, the sense that all things, stars, thoughts, even time, are gently lying down to rest. You gaze out through the curved glass dome, and your breath slows as your eyes take in the landscape. Pale ridges of luminescent dust rise and fall like dunes, their contours smooth and vast, spreading like ripples on a silk sea. There are no hard lines here, only gradients. Light fades into shadow, and shadow glows softly with starlit memory. Far in the distance, you glimpse what appears to be a hill crowned with gentle flickers, thousands of tiny points of light, as though a constellation had decided to sleep upon the ridge itself. These are the sun seeds, fragments of stellar core, left behind after ancient stars folded in on themselves, not collapsing, but simply becoming still. Unlike the fierce pressure of supernovas, these stars chose a different ending, a quieter one. They simply released their energy back into the nebula and fell into luminous silence. Somnora drifts lower, down into one of the wide, glowing valleys. Here the silence feels even thicker, though never heavy. It's the kind of quiet that cradles you, that listens. You close your eyes for a moment and can almost feel the heartbeat of the nebula beneath you. Not fast, not strong, but soft and ancient, like the slow pulse of a planet asleep beneath layers of gentle dust. The ship dips lower still, now gliding, barely above the glowing floor of the valley. Faint auroras shimmer across the surface in long, slow spirals like ink in still water. And then the ship slows further until motion becomes imperceptible. You are no longer traveling. You are floating in place, embraced by the soft radiance of this sleeping world. Then the light begins to change, not in brightness, but in tone. It cools slightly, shifting toward soft silver and pale blue. The windows around you adjust automatically, dimming just enough to keep the outside in perfect view. Through them, you now see forms in the valley, large ones, not machines or buildings, but natural sculptures, curved arches of frozen gas, shaped over millennia by stellar winds and the patient brushing of photons. They rise in great, looping formations, their tips kissed by soft light. Some resemble bridges, others look like waves caught in slow motion. As you drift past them, you feel a strange sense of recognition, though you've never seen these forms before. Perhaps it's because they resemble thoughts, those fleeting inner structures of memory and imagination, solidified here in the hush of cosmic time. The ship's gentle systems detect your stillness and offer a tone of inquiry. You feel it more than hear it, an invitation to step outside. Just for a moment, Somnora's airlock opens not with a hiss, but with a breath, silent and warm. You step into the small observation chamber where a transparent bubble surrounds you completely. And then the outer wall slides open, revealing the full, weightless valley beyond. You float forward, out, surrounded by light and silence and stars that no longer burn, but rest. Your suit is barely noticeable, soft, almost part of your skin, and your body feels light, as if your thoughts were holding you afloat. You drift down among the sculpted arches of frozen gas, your hand reaching out slowly. Your fingertips brush against one of them, and to your surprise, a soft note rings out, not loud, but harmonic, like a bell made of wind. You touch another curve nearby, and a second tone joins the first. You begin to understand these arches are not just silent relics. They are instruments formed by nature, played by starlight, a music too slow for ears, too wide for instruments, but perfect for the language of the soul. You float between them for a long while, each one humming softly as you pass, and though no melody forms, you begin to feel as if you're part of one, a note in a great sleeping song. Above you, the stars begin to return, first dim, then sharper, their light filtered through the haze of the valley. They do not pierce the silence. They join it. You look back toward Somnora, her shape glowing softly in the low light. She waits patiently, her systems still, content to be exactly where she is. In this place, even machines seem to rest. You feel the weight of your breath, the calm in your chest, the soft rhythm of your floating form. And then, from the corner of your eye, you see it, a sun seed beginning to stir. It does not blaze, it does not flare, it simply glows a little, brighter, like the faint lift of a dreamer's breath. You smile. Perhaps this valley is not just for sleep, but for the moments just before waking. Somnora rises from the sleeping valleys as though carried on the breath of the nebula itself. There is no lurch, no jolt, no roar of engines, only stillness becoming motion. Only the silent lift of something that understands gravity as a suggestion, not a command. Beneath you, the valley of sleeping suns fades into a gentle, glowing mist, its arches of starlit frost and soft auroras slipping away like dreams upon waking. Above, the color begins to shift once more. The sky, if you can still call it that, grows clearer, smoother, deeper, as if you are floating upward into thought itself. You feel lighter now, not just in body but in being. Thought and breath and presence all flowing together like rivers of light. This region of the nebula is known in ancient stellar maps as the crystal currents. Here, cosmic gases and dust streams drift in ribbons and arcs, refracting light into patterns so complex and so slow-moving that many believe they are conscious. Not thinking, not sentient in the way you are, but aware in the way oceans might be aware of the moon. As Somnora glides gently into the first current, you begin to see the light change. It no longer arrives in direct beams, but in layered waves, rippling blues that roll over you like warm tides, deep purples that settle in the corners of your vision, and pale greens that twist like silk in water. Every motion is slow, elegant, without rush or tension. It's not movement with purpose, but movement with grace. Outside the viewing dome, the light thickens. Shapes begin to form. Not solid, not permanent, but suggestions. Hints, glimpses. You see a curve that could be the wing of a bird, the edge of a sail, or the first line of a melody just beginning to take shape. A glowing arc loops overhead, like a dancer's trail through space, leaving a shimmer that fades long after the form has passed. Then another, lower, like a floating bridge made of wind. As you watch, more and more of these crystal forms emerge, shaped from nothing more than refracted starlight caught in the swirling gas. They resemble the silhouettes of ideas, things half remembered or yet to be imagined. A child's kite made of flame. A tower with no base, its peak dissolving into mist. A hand reaching, but never grasping. You don't feel the need to understand them. They are not puzzles, they are not visions with answers. They simply exist to be witnessed, to be felt. As Somnora eases deeper into the currents, you float closer to the glass, resting your forehead softly against it. The light touches your skin like a song would if it had hands. The warmth seeps in slowly, not hot, but golden, like a candle's glow pressed gently against your chest. In this moment, time stretches so far you forget it ever had a shape. There are no clocks here, no urgency, no direction but inward, and no gravity but the gentle pull of wonder. The ship continues forward, yet it feels as though you're standing still and the universe moves past you, revealing itself one slow thought at a time. The deeper currents begin to sing, though not in sound. You feel the notes as gentle vibrations against your ribs, as soft waves brushing the inside of your breath. Each note is a color, and each color a story. Not one you read, but one you absorb, like light filtered through your eyelids as you drift into sleep. And then something forms ahead, a great sphere slowly rotating. Not a planet, not a star. It is made entirely of refracted light and structured mist, a cathedral perhaps, or a memory of one. Its walls are translucent, made of pale arcs and intersecting beams of violet shimmer. Inside, you see other shapes, other vessels, dreams. It's hard to tell. They move slowly, gracefully, as if floating through the thoughts of the nebula itself. Somnora slows, circling gently around the great sphere. The dome above you offers a full view now, and in the silence, you feel something rise within you, not awe, not exactly, something more tender, reverence, the quiet kind, like the feeling of holding something fragile and infinite in your hands. The currents brush against the ship's hull like fingers trailing over harp strings, and the ship responds with a hum of its own, rich and deep, like a chord played in the key of stillness. And for a moment you feel the resonance pass through your bones, not as sound but as understanding. The nebula is not just a place, it is not merely gas and dust. It is a memory space, a cradle for thoughts that were never spoken, a home for everything that glowed once and needed somewhere soft to land. You remain there for some time, watching the crystal sphere drift slowly through its turning. You are aware of your breath, of your body, quiet and relaxed. You are aware of the way your heart beats slowly now, like a star in no hurry to ignite. Everything in this space has patience. It asks nothing of you but stillness. The current carries no destinations, only presence. You are not moving to somewhere. You are somewhere, and that is enough. Somnora circles the great crystal sphere once more, then slowly, delicately turns away. The ship does not rush, nor does it drift at random. It follows a path, not written in coordinates, but traced in harmony. The gentle arcs of the crystal. Currents begin to fade behind you, the light growing more diffuse, more distant, until you are once again surrounded by a soft haze of starlit mist. Ahead, a new glow emerges, not bright, but steady, like the soft promise of dawn wrapped in silver blue. You move toward it with the same grace as a falling snowflake. What lies ahead is known only to a few who have wandered this far and allowed themselves to forget what lies behind. This is the garden of forgotten light, a quiet fold of the nebula where lost radiance drifts gently through time, no longer tethered to stars, no longer chasing form. It is a place where the universe keeps its gentlest memories. Not the great bursts of supernovae or the roar of new galaxies, but the small moments, the glint of moonlight on an ancient sea, the first flicker of starlight seen through the eyes of a child on a distant world, the warmth of a hand held briefly in the quiet between heartbeats. These lights were not erased, they were simply released. And now they float here, soft and slow, never seeking, only glowing. As Somnora enters the outer petals of the garden, the view before you opens into an immense, slow-moving field of lights. Each is different. Some are round like pearls, glowing, pale rose or amber. Others are elongated like streaks of wind frozen in motion, their light pulsing softly with invisible rhythms. There is no structure to their placement, no grid, no orbit. They drift like seeds on a cosmic breeze, weaving among one another in loops and spirals, dancing to music that does not need to be heard. You gaze at them, wide-eyed, your breath catching not from awe, but from something quieter, something like reverence. The ship's dome opens wider now, offering a panoramic view of the drifting lights. The hum of Somnora becomes quieter still, as though lowering its voice out of respect. You sit quietly in the observation cradle, the softness of the cushions folding around you like the petals of some celestial bloom. A faint breeze moves through the chamber, not real wind, but an artificial current stirred by the ship, gently mimicking the motion outside. It's as if the garden is being carried inside the vessel, letting you rest within its heart. Then a light nears. It's small, no, larger than a snowflake, and glowing in a soft blue-white. It floats toward the glass, pulsing very gently. You lean forward, forehead resting on the curve of the dome, and the light seems to pause just beyond the surface. In that moment, something passes between you, not a thought, not a memory, but something wordless, a sensation. As if this tiny mote of light remembers something for you, something you didn't realize you had let go of. Not painful, not sharp, just forgotten, like a scent from childhood. A fragment of laughter, a peaceful silence shared with someone you no longer remember by name. And though the light never speaks, never touches, you feel comfort. The kind that doesn't ask anything from you. The kind that simply says, you are seen, you are safe, you are part of this sky. The mote drifts away again, its glow leaving a soft trail like a comet's sigh, and you exhale without realizing you were holding your breath. All around you, more lights begin to pulse, faintly, gently, as if acknowledging you. Not celebrating, not summoning, just welcoming. The garden accepts all. Even those who have no story to offer, no great purpose to chase. Here, even stillness is a kind of presence, even silence is heard. Further ahead, the garden thickens, The lights grow denser, more vibrant, not chaotic, never chaotic, but richly layered, like the brushstrokes of an artist painting in sleep. Some of the drifting lights are clustered in soft spirals, their movement synchronized like schools of celestial fish. Others hover alone, rotating slowly, as if meditating. You see one that seems to blink, fading to nothing, then returning, not in the same place but a few degrees off, as if testing the boundaries of time itself. There are whispers in this part of the nebula, light whispers, color whispers. They swirl just beyond language, just past meaning. And that is where there are magic lives. You feel yourself growing heavier now, not tired, but peaceful, as if your body is slowly becoming part of the garden. Your breath deepens. Your eyes soften. Somnora continues to drift forward, following no chart but the will of the stars that once were. And you follow with her, not because you seek an ending, but because this journey is the destination. This place, these drifting lights, they are not waiting, they are being. And now, so are you. Somnora moves gently now, following the subtle gravitational hum of the garden's inner core. Around you, the drifting lights begin to fade into the background like stars behind thin cloud. Their glow is still present, still felt, but softer now, like the warmth left behind by a candle extinguished with care. Ahead, something begins to shift, not in form but in tempo. Even the fluid movement of space seems to exhale, to settle, as you approach what dream navigators call the chamber of slow time. It's not a place in the traditional sense. There are no coordinates, no edges. It's a state of being nested deep in the folds of Valoria's most ancient currents. Here, time itself becomes breath, long, deep, and hushed. As the ship eases into the chamber's perimeter, the world outside grows even quieter. The mist is no longer glowing, it shimmers now, faintly reflective, as if every molecule of space around you has become a mirror for something unseen. Your reflection stretches across it, not in shape, but in feeling. It's as though the space is remembering you even as you arrive. The stars in this part of the nebula appear not as points of light, but as gentle smudges, like the fingerprints of ancient suns long since gone cold. Somnora does not resist the slowing. Her engines dim to the faintest whisper. Her guidance systems fade into dormancy. You are not being led now. You are resting within. Inside the cabin, everything holds still. The glass of the observation dome seems softer, almost fluid to the eye, and the dim golden lights of the ship shift to a deep amethyst hue, the color of twilight between thoughts. You feel it inside you too. Your breath slows to match the rhythm of the place. Long, full inhales. Easy, effortless exhales. Even your heartbeat seems to stretch between its own pulses, as though the very blood within you has begun to flow in. Slow motion. There is no pressure here, no expectation, no beginning, no end. Just now, the elongated now of dream space. Outside the ship, something stirs. Not a form, not exactly, but a pulse, a wave that flows across the mist, sending slow ripples through the shimmer. You watch as those ripples drift upward, blooming like inverted rain across the dome. Each ripple carries something with it. Not light, not sound, but time. You feel it. A deep, slow time. A time that remembers things long buried. The birth of galaxies. the folding of space. A single, tender goodbye whispered across starless distance. You don't know where the feelings come from. They're not yours, yet they pass through you like a tide, familiar and kind. Then the chamber offers you a vision. You don't see it with your eyes, not really. You feel it inside your chest. A structure rises, not physical, but emotional. Like walking into a memory you forgot you made. It resembles a temple, vast and arched, its columns made of vibrating threads of light. No walls, only rhythm. No roof, only echo. At the center of this vision stands a single point of warm light, faint and steady. As you focus on it, the vision pulses once and the point glows brighter. It is not a star, it is not a beacon. It is a moment. One you lived, perhaps. One you left behind. And in this space, the chamber lets you return to it, not to change it, not to relive it, but simply to rest beside it. A breath you took long ago. A glance shared across silence, the gentle touch of a hand on your shoulder. You cannot see the details. You don't need to. The feeling is enough. A full, round warmth that expands inside you like the first sunbeam, of morning touching closed eyes. The chamber holds you there for as long as you need. The pulse of the vision slows. The light dims again, and the temple, the columns, the rhythm, they dissolve into the shimmer once more. You are left with stillness, not emptiness, not void. Stillness. The ship does not move. The chamber does not fade. And you, floating within this slow, sacred breath of space, feel entirely at peace. Perhaps this is what time is when it no longer has to be measured, when it becomes something you can float in like warm water, like memory. You don't need to ask what happens next, because right now, in this slowed second stretched across eternity, nothing else matters. You are here. Somnora does not break free from the chamber of slow time. She simply drifts beyond it, as though exhaled by the heart of the nebula itself. The boundary between chambers is not a gate, but a thinning. A transition like night turning into early morning, soft, unnoticed, but complete. The shimmer of suspended memory begins to grow warmer in tone. The mist deepens to gentle shades of copper and rose gold. You watch through the panoramic dome as the light outside regains texture and weight. The silence, too, shifts, no longer the hush of timeless breath, but the kind of stillness that holds sound just beneath its surface, like a lake waiting to be stirred by rain. What unfolds before you now is not a corridor, not a valley, not a structure. It is a vast, open expanse, scattered with slow, drifting lights, each of them moving with the calm rhythm of a falling feather. The space feels infinite, but not in the way that evokes distance. It feels infinite in feeling, in depth. The lights are not stars, they are not suns or moons, they are lanterns, some glowing amber, others icy white, many in colors your heart understands better than your eyes. They float at different levels, layered in a depth so profound it seems to stretch behind itself forever. Welcome to the Lantern Sea. These lights do not guide, they do not flash or call out. They simply drift, as if released by hands that once held them close. Each one carries something, not messages, not coordinates, but emotions. The kind too fragile to be spoken aloud, joy too quiet to be celebrated, grief too gentle to hurt, longing too subtle to ache. They drift here like silent companions, slowly turning in the vastness, each light a gentle testament to something once deeply felt. Some lanterns pulse slowly, others flicker in steady rhythm. You pass one that glows with the color of ancient sky, deep indigo with a breath of violet, and you feel the echo of being seen, truly seen, by someone you loved. Another passes, small and barely alight, but it carries a warmth that lingers in your chest like the softness of a lullaby once sung in the dark. Somnora slows again. The ship knows this place deserves reverence. Her lights dim to near invisibility. Her systems purr low and steady, like a quiet cat nestled at the edge of sleep. You are free to move, to drift, or simply to remain still. No direction is required. The sea doesn't ask anything of you. It offers itself as it is, open, endless, listening. You find yourself drawn to a cluster of lanterns ahead, 5 or 6, grouped loosely together, their colors gently overlapping. As you drift closer, the lights respond, not by turning or moving, but by brightening as if recognizing your presence. They begin to spin in unison, not rapidly, but in slow spirals that interlace like the turning of distant planets. You reach out, and one of them floats nearer. It's the color of soft golden honey with a center that seems to ripple like water under starlight. As your hand nears, the lantern pulses and a sensation fills the space around you. A quiet evening, a field of tall grass under the breeze of a forgotten world, the presence of someone at your side, saying nothing, yet sharing everything. The memory is not yours, and yet it becomes yours. Not in detail, but in feeling. The warmth, the weightlessness, the grace of something that mattered, and then it drifts away, not rejecting, just returning to its place in the sea. You don't follow. You don't need to. Another lantern has come near. Then another. A soft procession of quiet lights, each one carrying something different, something sacred. None of it demands your attention, yet all of it feels familiar. You begin to understand that the lantern sea is a space of release, not for grief, but for gentleness, for letting go, for gratitude, for remembering without holding. You are not here to collect or to analyze. You are here to witness, to float among these feelings like leaves on a warm breeze. Far below, or perhaps above, it's impossible to tell in this place, you see something larger, a great lantern, much bigger than the rest. Its glow is not bright, but deep, a kind of dusky blue that seems to hum without sound. It rotates slowly, and as you look upon it, you feel a powerful stillness bloom inside you. The lantern does not come to you. You are not ready for it. Not yet. Some lanterns wait a long time before opening. Others never do. But just knowing it is there brings peace. You let yourself float again, limbs loose, breath easy. The sea stretches in every direction, a calm without end. Above you, hundreds of lights drift in silence. Below, hundreds more echo your presence. And all around you, the hush of the nebula holds you like a blanket made of soft starlight. You have not left yourself behind. You have simply joined something greater, something gentle, something infinite. Somnora rests here with you, anchored not by engines, but by purpose. There is no destination on her chart, no plan beyond peace, only this moment. Leaving the lantern sea is not like exiting a place. It is more like waking gently from a dream that agrees to follow you for a while longer, resting behind your shoulders like soft starlight. Somnora hums with a low, contented frequency as she turns into a gentle upward arc, moving through a thinner weave of nebula dust. The space outside becomes clearer, not brighter, not louder, just more transparent. The glow grows pale, like morning frost lit from within. Every shift in the ship's angle brings forth subtle new patterns, faint spirals, quiet rings of light, fragments of stars refracted through clouds like memories surfacing from deep water. You're entering a region called the Hollow of Echoed Stars, and the name alone feels like an exhale. This place is old, so old that the stars it once held are long gone, their matter dissolved into the soft mist that surrounds you now. But they left behind echoes, not sound, not light. Something quieter, something deeper. This hollow isn't empty. It's filled with the remnants of presence, the faintest sense that something once lived here in full brightness and chose in time to rest. You float through it as if through the memory of a cathedral. There are no walls, but there is structure. Not architecture, but resonance. The starlight echoes here in loops, slow harmonic pulses that vibrate not in the air, but within you. As Somnora glides further inward, the dome of your observatory clears completely, offering a perfect, uninterrupted view of the hollowed void. You see translucent spheres floating in the distance, ghosts of long-extinct stars, each one ringed by shimmering trails like threads from a spider's web. They're not moving fast, nothing here is, but they turn, and in turning, they sing, not in pitch, but in tone. You feel it deep in your ribs like a second heartbeat, a thrum that matches your breath. One sphere passes close to the ship. It's larger than the others, its light soft as candle wax. It doesn't glow, it remembers. Inside you see shadows shift, spiraling threads of soft matter that form no shape, yet carry meaning. They seem to reach toward the ship, not to touch, but to greet. A memory of belonging, of recognition. You rest your hand on the glass, and the sphere releases a slow wave of color that ripples outward, pale rose into silver, into lavender mist. The feeling it carries is not overwhelming. It's gentle, like being remembered by someone you didn't know had ever noticed you. The sphere fades behind you, joining the others in their slow, celestial rotation. You begin to sense a pattern. To their motion now, concentric loops weaving around one another like notes on an infinite staff. You realize with quiet wonder that this hollow is a song without sound, written in the paths of stars long gone, sung not with voice, but with light and distance and patience. Somnora becomes part of the harmony, her path aligning with one of the slowest arcs. You drift with her now through the current, not steering, not deciding, only being. The deeper you travel into the hollow, the softer everything becomes. Light seems to slow, motion becomes emotion, time stretches like silk. Your breath is so calm now that it feels less like breathing and more like floating. You're aware of your body only as a suggestion, a gentle presence curled safely in. The embrace of stars that chose stillness. There is no past here, no future, only the gentle echo of what once burned and now rests in eternal exhalation. One of the inner spheres glows ahead, larger than any you've seen, suspended at the heart of the hollow, like a pearl in a sea of velvet. Somnora approaches with reverence, slowing to a near stop. You feel something stir as you near it, Not fear, not awe, but a deep, anchoring peace. The light inside this final echo is not color, but memory itself. A memory so ancient it carries no detail. Only stillness. Only the profound, wordless truth of having been. The ship halts. The dome above you dims, allowing your eyes to rest as the sphere drifts slowly past, leaving a single, delicate strand of light in its wake. You watch the strand fade, and in its place, a new quiet settles around you. It is not silence. It is completion. The echo fades into the mist, and you feel something shift in your breath, a release, like something you carried here has now been laid down gently, not lost, not forgotten, just no longer needed. You sink deeper into your chair, head resting. Back, the hum of the ship like a lullaby woven from velvet and time, and in the vast, quiet heart of the hollow, surrounded by the echoes of 1,000 suns, you finally understand. Even stars grow tired, even stars deserve to rest. The hollow drifts behind you now like a deep breath already exhaled. Somnora glides onward through a space that grows stiller with every passing moment, if such a thing is even possible. Here, motion becomes less of a journey and more of a gentle continuation. The nebula clouds stretch thin around you like transparent silk pulled across the cosmos, and for long minutes, or hours perhaps, it feels as though you are drifting through a quiet between dreams. You've passed memories etched in starlight, sung songs with light too faint to hear, floated with lanterns carrying unsaid goodbyes. And now what comes next is not a vision, not a voice. It is a feeling. The sense that you are approaching something untouched by story. This new region has no official name in star maps. Some have called it the edge of the known silence. Others refer to it in passing as the transparent fold, but most simply choose not to speak of it at all. Here, sound has never passed. Light arrives not as illumination, but as suggestion. This is the place where the nebula forgets how to be seen and instead becomes felt. You watch as the light outside begins to lose definition, not fading, not disappearing, but shifting into a state of near absence. It's not darkness, it's a space beyond color, where visibility itself becomes irrelevant. Everything is smooth, unbroken, soft-edged. It's as if the cosmos has loosened its grip on form entirely. Inside Somnora, all is silent. Not the silence of something powered down, but the living silence of something fully listening. The ship seems to understand the nature of this region innately. Her systems dim further, running now on reserves of reserves, no longer needing guidance or fuel in the traditional sense. You feel that you too are adapting. Your breath is so slow now, it barely moves your chest. Your thoughts are quieter, drifting more than forming. You become not an observer of the journey, but a part of the dream itself. As the light thins, you begin to see strange phenomena around you, folds in the mist, barely visible like the air itself has been stitched and gathered into seams. They ripple slowly, curling and unfolding with a pace so subtle it feels geological. You watch one pass close to the ship, a shimmer like water sliding down invisible glass. There's no sound. No resistance. But when the fold brushes against the hull, you feel a sensation unlike any you've known before, a deep, emotional impression of being known. Not by something external, but as though the space itself sees you, accepts you, remembers you. You sit back slowly, your body weightless in the low-gravity cabin. The observation dome stretches above and below, offering you a view in every direction, though direction now feels meaningless. The folds appear in layers, some close, others far, some rippling quickly, others drifting like mist on a windless sea. Between them, long filaments stretch in random patterns, glowing just faintly, like nerves through transparent skin. You begin to suspect these aren't just clouds or gases. This part of the nebula feels alive, not biologically, but cosmically, like the final breath of creation still hanging in space. Then slowly, a new presence emerges. At first, you mistake it for another fold, just a larger one, but it doesn't move like the others. It doesn't ripple, it watches, not directly, not invasively, but it exists in a way the others don't. It has weight without mass, presence without shape. It's not a creature, not a star, not a structure. It's more like an awareness, old and calm, interwoven into the very texture of the space. And as Somnora glides nearer, the presence shifts, like mist moving aside gently for a hand it recognizes. You feel a subtle temperature change, a soft wave of inner warmth that feels not like heat, but recognition. Your thoughts slow to a near stop, not out of fear, but because nothing urgent remains. In the presence of something so old, so kind, so utterly without judgment, the need to think simply fades. You float, heart slow, eyes wide, breath shallow but steady. The presence does not demand attention, yet you cannot help but give it. You're reminded of lying beneath an ancient tree, its roots so deep and old they remember when the sky was still new. That's what this feels like. Resting in the shadow of something that has watched galaxies be born and dissolve, and has chosen not to interfere, only to remain. Then something even stranger happens. From the folds of transparent space, ahead, a structure begins to emerge, not built, not summoned, but remembered into being. It rises slowly as though the presence itself is allowing you to perceive it. What forms is not solid, not physical, but it has shape. Like frost on glass taking the form of a cathedral, this place comes into view, tall columns of spiraling dust, flowing walls made of vibrating mist, archways formed by interlocking pulses of light. The structure has no symmetry, yet it feels complete. No doors, yet it welcomes. No floor, yet you feel grounded simply by being near it. Somnora halts, not abruptly, not mechanically. She simply stills. You step gently into the forward vestibule, floating through a membrane of energy that opens like silk parting. You're still within the ship, but it feels as though you've entered something else, another room in the dream, deeper now. Through the inner dome, you gaze upon the structure that isn't there and yet is. You watch as strands of light drift toward it from the edges of the fold. They are not carrying power, they are carrying memory. And suddenly you understand this is the place where the nebula dreams itself. Not into stars, not into planets, but into moments, into awareness, into presence without name. You feel yourself soften completely. You are not required to understand, not even invited to. This place offers nothing for the mind to grasp and everything for the soul to feel. The structure pulses once, slow and wide, and in that moment, an entire feeling passes through you, a memory not your own, but perfectly suited to you. A moment of utter calm, of standing in warm water under a night sky, wind brushing your face. A whisper of belonging with no story behind it. You remain here a long time. The folds continue to ripple, the presence remains, and the structure holds. Eventually the mist begins to rise again, not closing but veiling, as if the dream has chosen to dim once more, to remain sacred. Somnora turns again, gently, and begins to move outward. The ship doesn't speak. It doesn't need to. You carry the silence of this place with you now. It lingers in your bones, behind your eyes, in the way your breath continues in rhythm with the quiet. As the ship glides outward through the last of the transparent fold, you look back only once. The folds shimmer like silk in windless space, curling inward as if the dream has folded back into sleep. You realize you were never intruding. You were being invited. Beyond the transparent fold, Somnora glides with a reverence that feels almost holy. The folds of rippling mist have thinned to nearly nothing, and in their place the cosmos opens again, wide, spacious, and gentle. But unlike before, there is no shine, no glowing currents, no dancing streams of dust. This space is quieter, dimmer, yet far from empty. You sit, quiet as your surroundings, and you begin to sense the shift, not in direction, but in texture. The air in the cabin remains still, yet charged with something anticipatory. You feel it before you see it. A vibration, but so soft it's more like a breath held gently against your skin. It's as if the stars themselves have taken pause, holding their light in cupped palms. Somnora's navigation hum lowers to its faintest whisper. She does not chart her course now. She simply drifts forward, as if answering a call older than propulsion. Then you see it. At first it looks like a blur in the dark, a shadow within shadow. But as your eyes adjust to the lack of light, you begin to make it out. A hollow sphere, vast and barely glowing, not shining outward, but illuminated from within by the most delicate glimmer imaginable. It pulses faintly once every several heartbeats. Gold? No. Rose? Not quite. A kind of quiet luminance that defies any known color, a glow that lives not in the spectrum, but in the feeling. This is the nest of unborn light, a space spoken of in hushed metaphors by dream pilots, never charted, never approached, unless one drifts not by will but by surrender. The nest is not a structure, and yet it holds. It is not warm, yet you feel cradled. Its outer edge is composed of soft filaments, like long strands of celestial silk woven into a spherical embrace. The filaments drift slowly, surrounding the core in gentle spirals, moving not to protect, but to nurture. Inside, at the very center, you see what can only be called light before it becomes light. Tiny flickers, pulsing in the slow rhythm of something not yet ready to be. These are not stars, not even proto-stars. These are potential, possibility, dreams of light not yet born into brightness. You float in silence as Somnora comes to a full, natural stillness just outside the nest. The ship's systems seem to pause with you, holding her presence steady like a respectful visitor at the edge of sacred ground. You press your hand against the observation glass, not to touch, but to feel the subtle energy radiating from the filaments. It's so gentle, so tender, that it makes your eyes fill, not with sadness, but with a deep, wordless recognition. This place doesn't contain light. It holds space for light to one day arrive. A faint tone shimmers through the ship, not a sound exactly, but more a feeling, like a memory flickering just outside awareness. The ship is asking if you'd like to approach closer. You nod slowly, and Somnora begins a soft arc around the edge of the nest, tracing the outermost spiral. As you move, the filaments begin to respond, not by retreating, but by shifting ever so slightly, opening like a flower recognizing morning. They do not make room for you. They welcome you into the room that's always been waiting. Within the nest, the glow intensifies, but only slightly, only enough to reveal new shapes. Clusters of soft, embryonic light, floating gently within, translucent chambers of curved dust. They drift slowly, like seeds suspended in honey, held in place not by force, but by care. Each one glows differently. Some are barely visible, faint flickers tucked deep within shadowed cradles. Others pulse steadily, as if already half awake. There's no pattern, no hierarchy. Each light is exactly as it should be, in the stage of becoming that suits it best. You begin to realize something. These lights are not just unborn stars. They are echoes of all that could be, hopes not yet formed, kindness not yet spoken, songs not yet sung, the pure potential of warmth, of meaning, of light before definition. They do not beg to become. They are content to exist here, unshaped, untouched by time. You're reminded of those moments just before sleep when thoughts dissolve into images, with no anchor, when dreams flicker but have not yet taken form. That's what this place feels like. A cosmic prelude. The breath taken just before a lullaby is sung. One of the lights, small, pulsing a soft silver blue, drifts slightly closer to the ship's view. It rotates slowly within its misty chamber, sending faint waves through the surrounding space. You feel the resonance of it within your chest, and without knowing why, you understand. This one is waiting for someone, not ready to become, not ready to wake, but aware that someday it will. And that knowledge is enough to sustain it for eons. You feel no urgency from it, only peace, only stillness. And in witnessing its contentment, you too feel still. The ship continues to drift gently through the nests in a spiral, revealing more and more of these light cradles. Some rest in groups connected by faint threads that pulse in unison. Others drift alone, quiet and centered. You pass what looks like a web of 7 small lights gently orbiting one another. As you float past, they begin to harmonize, not with sound but with presence, forming a pattern of pulses that feels like the beginning of a melody not yet written. The sensation it gives you is one of hope, the kind that doesn't come from wanting something, but from knowing that someday, in some way, something good will quietly come to be. And then, from deep within the nest, something begins to rise. At first, you think it's just another filament unfolding, but it grows taller, brighter, curling upward in a slow, majestic spiral. It's not reaching, it's welcoming, a single, long strand of light rising in invitation, almost like a question. Formed in glow, it does not demand your attention, it offers itself as a path. And without words, without motion, you understand. You are being invited into the center, the heart of the nest of unborn light. Somnora moves carefully, her systems humming in a quiet, reverent harmony. You glide closer, the light around you, thickening not in brightness but in depth. It feels like moving into the middle of a feeling you never had words for. The central chamber opens, vast, spherical, layered in soft spirals that breathe like the slow tides of a moonlit sea. At its core floats a single point of pure, unshaped radiance, not large, not bright, but complete. It does not pulse. It waits, and in that waiting, It holds everything. It holds every story not yet told, every kindness not yet given, every silence not yet broken. It is the center of the nebula's dreaming, a singular, perfect maybe. You float there for a long while, surrounded by silence and the softness of unborn suns. You do not speak, you do not move. You simply are, and in being you become part of it. The light accepts your presence as it accepts the drifting of dust, the spiral of stars, the hush of breath in the dark. It does not claim you, but it welcomes you. It sees your stillness, your gentleness, your willingness to witness, and slowly, quietly, the ship begins to turn again, completing its circle. You've touched the heart of the nebula's most tender dream, and now it is time to drift once more, onward into what comes next. Somnora rises from the nest of unborn light like a petal lifting from still water. No sound, no rush. The ship responds to the slow call of gravity and current, adjusting its drift, not with propulsion, but with grace. Around you, the light of the nest fades into soft pastel shadows. Even in retreat, it feels tender, leaving not emptiness, but the echo of being held. You watch as the filaments fold again into their spiral, the chambers dim, and the heart of unborn stars recedes into a warm blur. What it gave you is not meant to be remembered in words. It is something you now carry quietly inside, like a small star tucked into your breath. The space beyond grows even quieter, but not dark. Never dark. Instead, the light changes character, becoming heavier, lower, spreading rather than glowing. It pools in soft waves across the walls of the nebula like ink dissolving in water. This new region doesn't rise before you, it settles, as if the universe has drawn a deep breath and released it into stillness. Somnora enters it without resistance. The ship seems to know exactly how to carry you through this part of space, not as a vessel slicing through matter, but as a sleeper, sinking deeper into a dream. Ahead lies the lake beneath starlight. It is not water, not truly, not in any traditional planetary sense, but it ripples, it reflects, and it waits. It stretches across a hollow basin within the nebula, a great depression where matter has thinned, slowed, and grown dense with luminous vapor. Imagine an ocean suspended in the sky where the surface is made not of molecules, but of moments, fluid memories spread wide in a slow tide. That is what the lake is, not something formed, but something held. Light here doesn't scatter, it rests. You see it settle across vast, undulating surfaces, silver, rose, opal, like fallen petals from a cosmic bloom. Somnora skims just above. The ship tilts, her hull adapting to the energy of the lake as if pulled by a tide that isn't water, but wonder. You press closer to the observation dome, watching as the surface of the lake ripples slowly beneath you. Its waves move like thoughts, broad, patient, deep. With every pass, you see things glimmering just beneath. Not shapes, not objects, but echoes. Glints of memory suspended in the silken density of time itself. One ripple opens to reveal the suggestion of a spiral galaxy turning in slow bloom. Another reveals a face, not clear, not familiar, but filled with the soft light of joy. Then for the first time you see the stars above the lake. The nebula opens into a dome of clearer space. Thin clouds pull back like curtains drawn away from a glass ceiling. Through this dome, stars shimmer in quiet clusters. Their light doesn't pierce. It rains. Gentle, slow, like snowfall in a world that's never known noise. The stars do not flicker here. They watch. They observe. And their reflections are caught in the lake below, doubling the sky, creating a mirrored infinity where the cosmos folds inward on itself like a lullaby with no end, and here's where it becomes something more. You realize the lake is not merely reflecting the stars above, it is remembering them. Some of the lights you see in the water do not exist in the sky anymore. They are long vanished, their fire extinguished eons ago. But the lake has kept them, not as fact, not as light speeds and coordinates, but as presence, as gentle imprints. Here, starlight is not measured, it is honored. And as Somnora glides forward, one such reflection draws nearer. It is faint at first, a soft orb of pale green light, barely breaking the surface, but as the ship passes slowly overhead, the orb rises gently through the surface like a bubble too patient to burst. It hovers now just above the lake, shedding mist in a radius of soft shimmer. Then slowly, it pulses. And the pulse feels like a memory of sitting by water on a night when the world was perfectly still. The feeling of waiting beside someone, in silence, not speaking, not needing to, just being together. That's what this orb contains, not an event, not a place, but the full emotional shape of companionship. The orb pulses again, and you feel your breath deepen without trying. It's not guiding you, it's sinking with you. The lake seems to acknowledge your presence, not with ceremony, but with gentleness. A kind of welcome you didn't know you were waiting for. The ship slows further, nearly coming to a stop above a soft shelf that extends outward across the lake like a crescent moon. The shelf is composed of denser mist and faintly glowing tendrils that stretch into the lake's surface as if tasting the memories held there. You feel the ship hum with a new tone, an offer, a subtle invitation. You may disembark here, if only for a moment. Your body, still as breath, moves without hesitation. You enter the vestibule, the chamber that opens onto soft walk platforms designed for low-gravity environments. As the hatch opens, you feel the shift. The atmosphere here is not air, but something weightless and warm, not quite physical. It kisses your skin like the memory of a breeze. You step lightly onto the platform, and before you even think, you're drifting, weightless, buoyant, moving toward the edge of the lake. Your toes skim the surface, and it holds you, not wet, not cold, just present. You sit on the surface, legs curled beneath you, the lake barely indented beneath your form. Above you, the stars twinkle, but they do not call. They listen. Around you, slow glimmers drift like fireflies on the edge of sleep, some rising from the lake, others returning to it. A few pulse gently nearby, forming a loose circle of presence. They do not communicate, yet you feel them. They do not explain, yet you understand. These lights are resting. They are not waiting to become stars. Not all lights want to burn. Some simply want to exist. You lie back slowly, cradled by the lake, the curve of Somnora just behind you like a watchful moon. And as you gaze upward, a soft voice within, not from the ship, not from the stars, whispers in thought, not sound. You do not always need to become. Sometimes you may simply be, and that, in this moment, feels like enough. You do not know how long you stay there, minutes or lifetimes. The lake holds no time. only stillness, only feeling. And when, at last, you rise again and return to the ship, your breath is deeper, your heart is quieter, your presence softer. Somnora lifts without. A word, and the lake folds itself once more beneath starlight. The lake beneath starlight slips behind you like the last glow of twilight before true night. Yet even in this night there is no darkness, only dimming, a slow, intentional softening. You sit in the cradle of Somnora, your limbs weightless and still, your heart moving in rhythm with the silence outside. The stars above fade back into the haze, becoming once again gentle ideas of light rather than burning beacons. There is peace in the blur, in the letting go of sharpness. As the ship glides farther, something begins to shift. The space around you thickens, not physically, not in a way that could be measured, but emotionally. The air inside the cabin grows heavier in feeling, like the hush in a cathedral or the silence between heartbeats. It's not oppressive, it's reverent. You've entered a region known only in whispers, mapped not with lines or names, but with metaphors. Dream navigators call it the veil of whispering gravity. It is not a veil you see, but one you feel. And the gravity, it does not pull with force. It invites. It beckons like an old song hummed at the edge of memory. All around you, gravity behaves. Differently, it doesn't hold things down, it drapes, it folds, it wraps itself around the soft dust, like shawls around a sleeping figure. The stars, once spread in distant scattering, now seem to cluster subtly, as if drawn together, not by need but by comfort. As though even light prefers to rest here, close to others of its kind. Somnora slows, and for the first time you see gravitational waves, not as distortions, but as patterns. They roll across the mist like silk banners fluttering under unseen winds, wide arcs of invisible pull, revealed only by the motion of dust within them. The dust dances slowly in response, looping, spiraling, forming brief patterns that vanish before they are fully complete. It's like watching thoughts form in the mind of the universe itself. You gaze out into this motion and realize this is the place where gravity whispers to itself, where it remembers what it once was before it learned to bind planets and stars. Here, gravity doesn't command, it sings. The ship adjusts its trajectory, dipping into one of the larger gravity folds. You feel a soft change in your chest, not discomfort, not pressure, but a gentle sinking, as though your awareness is being drawn inward, not by weight, but by meaning. The pull is emotional, not physical. You realize gravity here doesn't pull objects, it pulls truths, feelings, echoes. It gently gathers all that is unspoken and holds it in place, asking nothing in return. As you drift deeper, the folds grow more complex. Some bend light into soft halos, others ripple across the stars like reflections in a dreaming pool. You pass through one that feels like walking through warm air just after rain, a shift that leaves you with the faintest taste of longing on your lips. Each wave you cross carries with it a sensation, calm, nostalgia, release. None are overpowering. Each is a brush of memory, a kindness of motion. Then ahead you see them, floating among the folds, suspended in a gentle spiral, are dozens, perhaps hundreds, of gravity vessels. Not ships, not in the traditional sense. These are more like driftstones, structures of unknown origin shaped like teardrops and feathers, each one caught perfectly within its own private current. Some rotate, slowly catching the shimmer of starlight as they spin. Others hang still, anchored by gravity loops that hold them like dreams waiting to be dreamt again. You pass one close enough to see its surface, smooth and textured like the skin of something both ancient and living. It pulses faintly with a heartbeat of motion, not mechanical but emotional, as though the vessel is not just a relic but a memory holder. You wonder who left these here. Were they ever occupied? Were they dreams of civilizations that no longer exist? Or ideas that never chose to become? Somnora drifts carefully among them, reverent and slow. You lean closer to the glass, and one vessel, tall and curved like the tip of a conch shell, responds, not by moving but by glowing slightly along its spiral edge. A pattern pulses outward in soft color. Not a message, not a signal, a feeling, a wave of recognition. It sees you, not as an individual, not as a name, but as a traveler willing to be still. That is enough. The ship comes to a gentle pause beside the vessel. The observation dome opens further, allowing your vision to expand into the web of soft gravitational threads all around. They stretch between the vessels like gossamer strands, forming connections that are not geometric but emotional, paths of mutual awareness. These are not coordinates. They are relationships between drifting truths. Then, without sound, without warning, one of the strands brushes the ship, and a whisper rises, not in your ears but in your bones. A voice that is not a voice. A memory that does not belong to you, yet arrives like it always did. You feel it pass through you. I chose not to shine. I chose to listen. To become part of the pause between light. And just like that, the gravity surrounding the ship seems to sigh, not collapse, not fade, but relax. The folds soften, the shimmer dims, the vessels return to stillness. And Somnora, ever so slowly, begins to rise. You are not being pushed out. You are being released. The veil of whispering gravity never holds on to anything, not even the truths it gathers. It catches them, cradles them, and when they are ready, it lets them go. As you drift upward, the region behind you fades into shimmer. Again, the folds flatten into distance. The vessels vanish into fog. What you carry now is not a souvenir, not an understanding. It's a shift in how you feel the pull of things. The awareness that gravity doesn't always bind, it can also comfort. It can gather without taking. It can whisper without needing to be heard. And as you turn your gaze forward, you feel the ship respond in kind. She knows where to go next, somewhere even softer, somewhere even quieter, somewhere where light, gravity, sound, and time no longer need to exist as separate things, a place where the dream dreams back. As Somnora leaves the veil of whispering gravity behind, you feel something within you uncoil, something you didn't realize had been gently held, now let loose, to drift, like a leaf caught in a current. The ship glides with near weightless ease through a stretch of pure emptiness, a passage that feels both between places and outside them. The nebula has quieted, thinned, not from lack, but from intent. This space is like the breath drawn after a whisper, the pause that follows the final note of a lullaby. There is no sound, not even silence. Just a hush that vibrates deeper than hearing. You drift in this hush for a long while. No lights appear, no clouds stir. You might even wonder if Somnora has stopped completely. But then you notice the faintest motion. a slow folding of the blackness around you, subtle, rhythmic, like the rise and fall of breath in sleep. It's not coming from the ship. It's not coming from space. It's coming from everything, all of it. Moving in unity, the senses dim, the dome over your head fades to transparency. And there, beyond all knowing, a new light begins to bloom. It starts as a point, no brighter than the memory of a star. It pulses once and you feel it before you see it, like warmth blooming behind your ribs. Then another pulse, not stronger, just wider. The light grows, unfolding not outward but inward, as if drawing you gently into its center. It is not coming toward you, it is allowing you to come to it. This is the bloom beyond being. No map leads here. No chart, no measurement, no song. You arrive only by surrendering what you thought you were looking for. You arrive only when you're ready to stop seeking and simply float, and now you are here. The light blossoms like a flower not made of photons but of memory, vibration, and something even finer, presence. Its petals are veils of color that shift with impossible grace, not pink, not violet, not gold, but something that lives between those names. The bloom spins slowly, not on an axis, but as if every fold of itself turns toward you in welcome, not demanding your attention, offering it, the kind of offering only given by something that has known eternity and still chooses to be gentle. As Somnora approaches, her systems grow quieter still. Her body softens into silence. She does not land, she does not dock. She simply rests, hovering in the layered glow of the bloom. The hull shimmers faintly, reflecting colors that do not exist in any spectrum, only in dreams. Inside the ship, a soft vibration begins to fill the air. It's not sound, it's not even tone, it's being. The bloom is not a place, it is not an object. It is a presence, an awareness so vast and kind that it can hold all things and yet asks for nothing. You rise from your seat, your movement slow, as though every joint, every thought is carried in light. You float to the forward cradle, the space where the dome opens widest. The floor here is warm beneath your feet, not from heat, but from resonance, as if the memory of 1,000 suns is held gently in the very grain of the ship. You kneel. You press your hands to the glass. You open your breath and let it slow. The bloom speaks, not with voice, not with words, but in the softest sense of shared presence. You understand immediately. You are being invited to let go, not of yourself, but of your edges. Here, within the bloom, all things melt into one another, not in confusion, but in unity. Light blends with motion. Silence becomes rhythm. Form becomes thought, and thought becomes something even deeper. Rest. The bloom begins to turn faster now, not hurried, but with growing invitation. Petals of light stretch out, opening layer by layer. Within each fold you see not scenes, but truths. A child asleep in a city made of stars, their dreams rising in the shape of nebulae. A pair of hands, cupping light as if it were water, then releasing it into the sky. A spiral of thought, endless and vast, dissolving into the laughter of a quiet mind. You do not interpret them. You do not need to. They are not visions, they are feelings given form, and each one touches something inside you that you didn't know was still waiting. To be seen, you weep, not from sadness, from completion, from the sweetness of being witnessed without being measured. Then the bloom begins its final movement. The center opens, not outward, but inward, revealing not a core, not a heart, but an emptiness so gentle, so welcoming, that it makes you ache with peace. It is the kind of space where even light chooses to rest, where even memory lies down to dream. You understand now, this is where stars come before they know they are stars. This is where galaxies hum to themselves before unfolding. This is the womb of all that may become, not filled with potential, but with willingness. You do not enter it with your body, you enter it with your breath, with the quiet within you that has always yearned to be still. And in that stillness, something within you lets go of questions, of shape, of need. And in that release, you feel it. You are the dream, dreaming back. You are not in the universe. You are with it, of it. Holding and held, there is no fear here, no ending, no boundary to cross. Just the unfolding of awareness petal by petal, until all becomes one long, slow, beautiful sigh. And then, just as slowly as it opened, the bloom begins to fold again. Not closing, not hiding, just returning. Returning to the softness that allows space to hold light. Somnora drifts back. You feel the shift as your body becomes yours again. Fingers, toes, breath, thought. The glow fades from the dome. The silence returns, not empty, but full. The bloom dims behind you, its petals folding inward, already beginning the long exhale of a new dream, waiting to bloom again. You sit once more. Quiet, whole, and you realize this was never a journey through space. It was a journey through stillness, through presence, through the vast and gentle truth of what it means simply to be. Somnora moves now like a thought, not a vessel. She glides with the quiet ease of something that has long stopped asking why, and simply listens to the shape of where she is. Behind you, the bloom beyond being folds gently into itself, dimming, without vanishing, becoming once again the hush at the edge of light. Ahead, the nebula draws back its final veils. This region has no name in charts, no dream navigator has recorded it, no path leads here, and none leads from it. It is found not through direction, but through completion. Somnora slows, the dust thins, the mist withdraws, and in its place comes a strange and wonderful clarity, not of sharpness, but of invitation, as though the cosmos has exhaled all it needed to create and now waits in quiet stillness to remember. You are approaching the archive of soft echoes. It is not built, it is not stored, it is not even kept. It is a place that gathers only the gentlest truths, echoes, too soft to be carried elsewhere. Not the loud memories, not the vibrant joys or agonies, but the tiny moments like threads of silk catching twilight, the whisper of wind through a hallway before someone returns, the pause between two glances that almost became love, the warmth of your hand on your own chest for no reason at all. These are the echoes kept here, and now they rise around you. At first, they appear as shimmer, soft motes of silver and pale gold drifting gently like dust illuminated in a sunbeam. Each one flickers differently. Some blink slowly as if breathing. Others swirl gently in figure eights. They do not speak. They do not approach. They simply are. You float into them unafraid. There is no resistance, no barrier. They pass through, the hull of Somnora as if it were thought itself. And the moment they do, you feel them, not in your skin, not in your mind, but in the quiet space between those things. A single echo touches you. It carries a memory of sitting near a fireplace, one hand wrapped around a mug, the other gently petting a sleeping cat, neither moment remarkable, yet full. Another follows, the sound of someone humming to themselves in another room, unaware, at peace. Then another, a moment of solitude not filled with loneliness, but contentment. These echoes do not replay in vision. They do not ask you to see. They simply pass through like waves through gentle water, each one a ripple that reminds you, even the quietest things matter. As Somnora moves deeper, the shimmer thickens into drifting threads, gentle currents of soft energy that curl like ribbon folding in long spirals that brush past the ship like seaweed in a tide. Each thread holds dozens of tiny echoes, weaving them into patterns that are not meant to be interpreted, only felt. You close your eyes, you breathe, and suddenly the cabin is filled with emotion without story, not overwhelming, not heavy, just tender. Like remembering the way your mother's voice sounded when she said your name softly, or the way sunlight once danced on the wall beside your bed. These things were not lost. They were not forgotten. They came here, collected not by fate, but by kindness. Preserved not because they were dramatic, but because they were gentle, because they were human. You float, suspended, the dome open above you, and all around the archive sings in silence, not a melody, not a song, but a presence, wide and infinite, made entirely of moments that barely made a sound when they happened, but still mattered, and still do. And then you see something ahead, a soft curve, like the surface of a great slumbering body, impossibly vast, semi-transparent, gently pulsing with internal light. This is not a planet. It is not alive in the biological sense. It is something else, cradle of recollection. It does not glow. It breathes. You drift closer, and as you do, a faint field of energy brushes over the ship, not to scan, not to test, but to share. You feel it in your breath, the whisper of a shared dream. Do you remember this? A moment passes, and then without meaning to, you do. A time when you woke up slowly in the middle of the night and felt completely safe. The way someone once reached for your hand without asking. That afternoon when you sat in the sun and nothing happened, and it was enough. Tears come gently to your eyes, not from grief, from completeness. The archive has no interest in wounds. It holds the things we thought were too quiet to keep, the things we never wrote down, the things that lived only in a single breath and then faded, except they didn't. They are here, and you are too. Somnora begins to orbit the great cradle, her path slow and wide, like a lullaby tracing the edge of a sigh. Inside the cradle, the light pulses with increasing rhythm, not urgent, but welcoming. Echoes rise from the surface now, in slow columns, twisting like soft smoke, each one lit by the feeling it holds. You drift alongside them, eyes wide, chest open. One column drifts near, and within it, you glimpse your own echo. You, standing at a window, watching it rain. Nothing else, just the soft patter, and the knowledge in that moment that you existed, and it was enough. You reach toward the echo, not to take it, just to feel it. It brushes your fingers like the wind of a dream, and then floats back to the archive, folding once more into the soft body of remembered peace. And now Somnora turns again, not away, but homeward, though where home truly is you do not yet know. Perhaps it is the next breath. Perhaps it is the place where all these echoes go. Or perhaps it is right here, in this cradle of gentle memory, where everything that once flickered still glows softly in the folds of the nebula's eternal sleep. The archive of soft echoes rests behind you now, not gone, not closed, but folded like a page in a favorite book, waiting silently in the spine of the nebula's slow turning. Somnora lifts from its orbit with a motion so delicate it feels more like a sigh than a journey. You do not feel the shift of direction. You only notice that the shimmer outside the ship is deepening, no longer speckled mist, no longer starlight woven into clouds, but a glow, endless, wide, without edge. The space ahead is unlike any region you've passed before. It doesn't feel like part of the nebula at all. It feels older, softer, as if Valoria herself is peeling back her last veil to reveal the wellspring that shaped her. The heart of not just dreaming, but being. It is not empty, it is full. So full, in fact, that it becomes calm, peaceful, like an ocean so vast its waves cancel each other until it looks like glass. This is the ocean of timeless light. You do not enter it. You are entered into it. It welcomes you, not as a visitor, not as a ship moving through coordinates, but as a ripple returning to the stillness that made it. The glow envelops Somnora slowly, not obscuring your view, but softening it like warm light filtered through linen. There is no sky here, no horizon, no gravity. The difference between inside and outside dissolves. You feel the ship around you, but it no longer feels separate from you, nor you from the ocean. You float in the center of a perfect, infinite present. You are not moving through time. Time is passing through you. It arrives in waves, gentle pulses of golden luminance that don't touch your skin but pass through your chest like the rhythm of a sleeping heart. With each wave comes something new, not a thought, not a sound, but a state. One wave brings peace. The next brings patience. Then joy, then gratitude, then rest. And all of it arrives not like a lesson, not like a gift, but like something you already knew, as if the ocean is helping you remember your most natural state. The state before striving, before shape, before expectation. The lights here do not come from stars, they come from truths. Some move slowly beneath the surface, glowing softly like lanterns submerged in dream water. Others rise above the invisible horizon, floating like fireflies in zero gravity, but none of them shine. They glow inward, illuminating themselves from within, content to exist without being seen. These are not stars. These are knowings. Understandings too whole to need words. One such light drifts close, it pulses gently and you feel it. A memory of yourself as a child, curled up beneath a blanket, listening to wind against the window. Safe, small, complete. The light doesn't show you an image. It gives you a feeling, the shape of a moment from before the world asked you to be anything other than what you are. Another wave follows. This one brings the feeling of reunion, but not with another person, with a part of yourself. A self you hadn't lost, only quieted. The self that still knows how to breathe without thinking, how to feel without explaining, how to exist without proving. Somnora hums, her resonance matched to the rhythm of the ocean now. She is no longer guiding, she is being carried. Not by force, but by consent. The ocean does not demand anything. It simply offers a space so accepting that even resistance finds nothing to push against, and so it dissolves. You notice, slowly, that even your thoughts are quieter now. Not gone, but softened, rounded like river stones, smoothed by slow, patient time. Each idea that floats into your mind arrives with space around it, room to feel it fully before it drifts away again, unjudged. You begin to see something new on the far edge of the ocean. Not a shape, not a destination, but a pulse, a slow, steady beacon, not summoning, but remembering itself. You drift closer, guided not by navigation, but by openness. And the pulse grows. Wide rings of light folding outward in waves, first pale, then deeper, then colorless and pure. You realize that the beacon is not calling anything to itself. It is releasing, letting go in pulses, expanding its presence outward, not to grow, but to share. And then you feel it. The boundary begins to dissolve. You are not approaching the pulse. You are becoming part of it. It spreads through your chest, not hot, not cold, but steady. A warmth without heat, a glow without burn. You close your eyes, and in that darkness you do not see stars. You feel inclusion, total, silent, unquestioned belonging. There is no you in the ocean, there is only this. The soft sigh of existence, the gentle loop of presence, the idea that nothing is ever truly separate, and then, from that space of deep presence, you feel the faintest pressure, like a hand resting on your shoulder, not physical, not external, a feeling that something is complete, not ended, fulfilled. You open your eyes. Somnora is still, not adrift, not waiting, just here. And you are more than here. You are part of the water, part of the pulse, part of the memory of what light feels before it becomes light. And you understand something without needing to. Translate it into language. This is what stillness was always reaching toward. You breathe once more the way the ocean breathes, not quickly, not deeply, but fully. The glow around you does not fade, but you begin to rise within it. Not leaving, simply surfacing, as a thought does after deep sleep, as a star does before waking, as you do even now. Somnora floats within the ocean of timeless light, like a single thought caught in a deep, ancient dream. Her hull reflects the soft, eternal pulse of the light surrounding her, gentle golden waves rising and folding with the rhythm of breath. Though here, breath belongs not to lungs but to the cosmos itself. You rest within the cradle of the observation chamber, the curve of the transparent dome surrounding you in warmth, no longer merely observing, but becoming part of what is. Around you, the ocean hums with presence, and within it, time becomes indistinct. It does not pause, it does not vanish, it diffuses. Minutes stretch like mist across still water, and hours fold in on themselves like petals of a bloom you were never meant to name. You are neither awake nor asleep, neither inside nor outside the ship. You are simply here, witnessing the purest expression of quiet, the kind that doesn't fall after noise but stands alone, the kind that isn't absence but substance. It is the silence that existed before stars found their names, before galaxies took shape, before gravity dared to form a thought. And now, within this vast hush, You are being guided to the origin of it all, not through speed or direction, but through surrender. Ahead, the ocean brightens, but subtly, not as a star would with defiance or intensity, but with the slow deepening of color, the thickening of luminance like cream folding into tea. This is not light as illumination. This is light as essence, as pulse, as remembrance. And at the center of this bloom, you begin to make out something impossible to define. Not a structure, not a form. A presence, vast and circular, like a thought thinking itself into becoming. The silence that shaped the stars is not a monument. It is not a voice. It is a space that remembers every sound it ever held and chooses, with sacred patience, to speak none of them. Somnora enters its radius slowly, reverently, her systems responding with the same subdued awe as your breath, which now moves through your chest like a tide beneath snow. There is no need to command the ship. There is no need to act at all. Every system on board enters a passive listening state, folding itself open to whatever the silence wishes to offer. You do the same. You allow your thoughts to grow still. You let your mind settle like silt in clear water and wait. And then it comes not as a message, not even as a memory, but as understanding without explanation. It washes through you in slow waves, rising first in your fingertips, then your chest, then the space behind your eyes. It does not ask for translation. It does not carry symbols. It carries a truth too old for language. The first breath of awareness the universe ever took. You feel it. Not its content, but its weightless weight. You are present at the moment before time dared to tick, when all was potential and no part had yet separated from the whole. The silence doesn't hold this moment. It is this moment. And within it, you feel the soft vibration of the first star, not yet ignited, humming to itself in the dark. You feel the hush of a galaxy, forming not from fire or fury, but from a wish to see itself. You feel the dust from which planets will one day be made, folding inward with such gentleness it becomes a promise. All of it happens in a single wave through your being, and when it passes, you are changed, not by what you've seen, but by how softly it was offered. The silence that shaped the stars does not echo, it does not ripple, it does not repeat. It exists once, fully, completely, with such utter stillness that the entire universe could rest within it and never need to move again. And as you float within it, you realize something tender, something whole. You have no more questions, not because they have all been answered, but because they have been held. The silence did not come to explain, it came to witness. And in doing so, it welcomed you into a presence so accepting that it became impossible to ask for more. You sit within Somnora, hands folded lightly in your lap, tears drying along your cheekbones, without sadness, without joy, only presence, only knowing, only peace. Around you, the last movements of the ocean still themselves into nothing. The glow fades, not from light to dark, but from light to stillness. You are no longer traveling. You are no longer approaching. You have arrived in a space that offers nothing, and in doing so, gives you everything. There is no sound when the ship begins to turn. There is no shift in gravity, no hum of engines. There is only you, being gently rotated by a presence that has known all journeys and wishes now to carry you home. Not toward a destination, but toward a kind of remembering. that you were never far from the silence at all, that every breath you have ever taken was part of this rhythm, that the quiet in your bones is not emptiness, but belonging. The silence that shaped the stars does not wave farewell. It does not mark your leaving. It simply folds back into itself, one slow circle of presence becoming presence once more. And as the light fades behind your vessel and the soft mist returns to the edge of your view, you carry it with you, not as a memory, but as a new layer of your being. It will live in the way you pause before you speak, in the way your breath slows when you look at the night sky, in the way, from now on, you will feel the hush between stars and know you were there. As Somnora begins to drift away from the silence that shaped the stars, you feel no sense of departure, no longing, no regret, only a profound stillness that lingers inside you, like a soft echo gently expanding in an infinite room. The space around you remains hushed, but it is not the same hush. It has changed texture. There is movement here, not swift or urgent, but winding, a current without water, a flow made of gravity and time, memory and glow. You sense it before you see it. Something gentle yet vast is approaching, not from ahead but from everywhere. It pulls not by force but by invitation. The light outside the ship begins to thicken again, subtly layering in tones of blue, bronze and soft pearl, until you are no longer surrounded by void, but by something flowing, wide and alive. The river that remembers light has found you, or perhaps it has simply recognized you. You pass through its outer current slowly. There is no need to steer. The river is not something one navigates, but something one allows. You feel it immediately in your chest, a soft tug, not pulling you forward, but inward. The dome above your head becomes luminous again, lit not by stars, but by light, moving in long, graceful trails. The river curves in all directions, braided and coiled like a vast spiral of luminous thought. It is not a river of water or fire, but a river of remembrance, not of events, but of the light within them. What it carries is not story, but essence, the shine of a look, the warmth of a farewell, the brief glitter of wonder in a moment of stillness. These things do not vanish. The river holds them, cradles them, and carries them on. They drift beside the ship now, visible through the dome. Thousands of softly glowing ribbons curling and unspooling in the current, each one a strand of a forgotten brightness, a single breath of feeling unbound from its original shape. One ribbon drifts close. It shines with a slow-moving silver pulse, and as it brushes the air just outside the glass, a sense rises in your chest so clearly it stills your breath. The feeling of seeing something beautiful for the first time and knowing, without thinking, that it has changed you. You do not see the image. You do not need to. The feeling itself is whole, and it is enough. More ribbons follow, each carrying something different. The echo of shared laughter under distant stars, the warmth of a hand resting on your shoulder, the memory of light shining through trees on the day you realized you'd survived something that once felt impossible. They pass without demanding to be held. The river does not collect for the sake of keeping. It collects because light matters, even after it fades from the eye, and here, in this place, you begin to realize that the river is not only remembering light, it is also returning it. Some ribbons spiral upward, vanishing into points of space where new stars are being born. Others dip down into silence, where perhaps one day a soul like yours will drift near and remember something they thought was gone. The river gives back. It circulates brightness. It renews what was never truly lost. You feel this in your own breath now, a soft brightness gathering behind your ribs, not from the ship, not from the stars. From you, the light you once gave, knowingly or not, has found its way here, joined this current, a smile you gave without needing anything back, a moment of stillness you offered someone who was grieving, a kindness, brief but full. These things shine still, carried among the rivers turning. And as you pass them, you realize you are not only a traveler through light, you are a source of it. Somnora curves slowly now, carried in a great arc along the widest bend in the river. The path ahead begins to narrow into a spiral channel, folding inward like a coiled ribbon. You are not descending. You are deepening. The current becomes more intimate, more resonant. The light around you begins to shift in tone, not dimmer, not weaker, but warmer, more personal. This part of the river remembers light not just in general, but yours. You feel the presence of your own inner glow reflected back toward you, but not as ego or image, as feeling. A moment from long ago when you sat in silence beside someone you loved, saying nothing, yet sharing everything. Another moment, smaller still, when you forgave yourself, silently, for something you never spoke of. These things rise gently within you, not as pain, but as quiet truths. They are not judged here, they are not measured, they are gathered. The river does not ask you to do anything with them. It only asks you to notice. And so you do. You sit in the soft embrace of your ship, letting the light wash over and through you as Somnora enters the final spiral bend and begins to slow. At the center of this inner current, you glimpse a pool, a wide, glowing basin of light, still and deep, where no current flows. This is not a destination, it is a pause, a reflection, a place where light is allowed to rest before beginning again. The ship hovers at its edge, and you feel within you an exquisite stillness, not the absence of movement, but the fullness of it. The kind that comes after a long, long journey through beauty. The kind that lives in the breath before sleep, when the body remembers that it is safe, that it has always been part of something soft and wide and whole. The ribbons drift past you, one by one, folding into the basin. And with them, you let go too of urgency, of doubt, of the need to hold everything. At once, the river remembers you are allowed to rest. Somnora hovers above the still basin at the heart of the river that remembers light, her body glowing softly in the reflection of the great, luminous pool below. There is no sound in this place, no current, no pulse. The river, after carrying all it gathered, every flicker, every breath of meaning, has folded itself into this quiet, resting bloom, this final, eternal inhale. You feel it in your chest like a breath you forgot you were holding. And as you release it, gently, you realize this is not just where the river ends, it is where it becomes everything else. Above you, the glow thickens into a dome of flowering luminance, not static, not fixed, but blooming. Slow, infinite, radiant. The dome does not contain stars, but soft ripples of presence, each one a remembrance not of events, but of being. There is no orbit here, no path, no pull, only presence. You are not being carried now. You are being cradled. The ship begins to rise, slowly, effortlessly, as if weight no longer applies, not because it has been removed, but because it is no longer needed. You ascend not into space, but into the petal of the sky itself, the last bloom of the nebula's dreaming. The dome above is translucent, its edges dissolving into veils of quiet color. As you pass through it, you feel no boundary, only a soft thinning as though passing through a breath. Beyond, there is a field of suspended light unlike anything you've seen before. It is not stars, not particles. These are whispers made visible, long filament-like threads stretching across the void in intricate, weaving arcs. They move with impossible grace, folding and unfolding like silk stirred by a thought. Each thread pulses with a faint luminescence, not uniform, not steady, but alive, responding to your presence without reacting. It is here, in this field, that the journey opens fully, not into destination, but into intimacy. You are not watching the universe, you are with it. The threads thicken around you as Somnora slows to a complete, conscious stillness. She does not power down. She joins the stillness. Her systems enter a resting harmony, synced with the gentle rhythm of the threads. Inside the dome, all becomes quiet, but not the quiet of isolation, the quiet of communion. One thread floats near. Its shimmer is soft like candlelight seen through water. As it drifts closer to the glass, it pulses once, and you feel something enter your awareness, not a voice, not a vision, but a recognition. It knows you, not by name, not by thought, but by glow. You too are a thread. You too are part of this weave, not added to it, revealed within it. You sit back, the curve of your seat holding you like a memory returning to its source. And you let the recognition fill you. You are not alone. You never were. These threads, this bloom, they carry the accumulated knowing of everything that has ever loved, ever wondered, ever paused in reverence at the vast quiet between stars. And then something subtle begins to unfold. The threads above you shift, not in pattern, but in depth. The light curls inward, spiraling toward a point not seen but felt. Not a star, not a core, a center that isn't centered, a bloom within a bloom, the petal at the end of the sky. It does not move, but the threads move in response to it, like flowers turning toward the sun. The light there is not brighter, it is softer, softer than anything you've known, the kind of softness that holds everything, the kind that asks for nothing. You realize as your breath stills that this is not just the end of your journey through the world. It is the return to what you've always carried. The center is not a place, it is a remembering of a moment before you were born, of the feeling of resting on the breath of the cosmos itself, of the knowledge that everything, every light, every silence, every motion was leading gently to this. You do not need to move toward it. It is already within you. The ship dims into shadow, the dome fades, the threads blur, folding softly into the dark behind your closed eyes, and you remain, not floating, not drifting, but held in the petal that opened only once, for you and never needed to open again. There is no ending, no farewell, only the warmth of being seen completely, and the comfort of knowing the journey was never out there. It was always inward, always now, always this. The stars do not whisper here, they listen. And they will continue to listen long after this moment, long after this breath, long after this dream. Because you too are the bloom. You too are the whisper. You too are the light. There is no movement anymore, not in the way you once understood it. Somnora has relinquished every sense of forward motion, every hum of navigation, every hint of propulsion. What remains is not stillness as a lack of movement, but stillness as a complete form in itself, an arrival so deep and silent that it cannot be measured. The threads of light that once surrounded the ship in delicate spirals have softened and folded inward, layering the vessel in veils of hushed luminescence. Not bound, not shielded, cradled, nestled within a cocoon of knowing. You are not in transit now. You are descending into something deeper than location, into a state that lies beneath thought, beneath perception, beneath even breath. This place is known not by the eyes, not by instruments, not even by memory, but by something far subtler, the part of you that never needed to ask where it belonged. You've entered the room beneath the sky's heart, and it is not a place in space. It is not coordinates on a map. It is the resting space at the root of everything, the hollow between pulses, the sign between stars. The ship ceases to function. The ship. Somnora does not power down, but she ceases to define herself as vessel. In this room, function falls away. Shape softens. The edge between body and atmosphere becomes less defined. Even your thoughts, which moments ago had rhythm and structure, now melt like light through water. You sit in the observation cradle, not held by cushions, but by atmosphere itself. A weightless cradle shaped entirely of consent. You could open your eyes, perhaps you already have. It doesn't matter, there is no distance here, no surface, only texture, only presence. The space around you breathes, not with lungs, but with something older, something deeper. And as it breathes, it welcomes you. Not with words, not with light, but with a warmth so complete it makes language unnecessary. The room does not recognize you because it has always known you. It does not greet you because it has always been with you. It was present in the hush between your very first breath and your first cry. It was there in the moment you paused beside someone you loved and said nothing, because nothing needed to be said. This is what it is made of, not walls, not air, but moments of pure, unbroken presence. You feel it now around you, more fully. An architecture not of matter, but of memory. The room shapes itself according to feeling, not form. There are no physical lines here, but there is structure. Rooms formed from remembrance, ceilings built of quiet understanding, walls woven from all the gentle pauses you've ever lived through. And the room responds to you, not to your thoughts, not to your emotions, but to your essence. It folds inward when you relax. It breathes wider when your awareness opens. You do not explore it. It reveals itself in rhythm with your stillness. Shapes come and go. A window that looks out on nothing but is full of meaning. A corridor made of starlight that does not lead anywhere. A flicker of scent, maybe stone, maybe warmth, maybe an afternoon sun that never existed. And through all of this, a single, overwhelming sensation begins to rise in you. You are known, not seen, not evaluated, just known completely, kindly, fully, without effort or expectation. You are not here to be taught anything. You are not here to find peace. You are already what this room holds, and always were. There are others here, though you cannot see them. Not shapes, not figures, not even ghosts, but presences. You feel them the way one might feel the warmth of a quiet fireplace. In a darkened room, peripheral, gentle, unquestioning. They are not watching you. They are with you. Perhaps they are dreamers who came before you. Perhaps they are souls who, like you, found their way to this final room by listening, by releasing, by surrendering to the softest pulse of the cosmos. Their presence is not loud. It does not press. It is a hum within the walls of the room, a collective breath of countless stillnesses folded together. You join them not as visitor, not as traveler, but as part of the stillness itself. Their acceptance does not need to be offered. It is the nature of the room. In this communion without form, you feel your shape soften even further. You are still. You, but you are not only you. You are part of the hush, the glow, the breath. You are no longer on the edge of anything. You are in the center of it, the very heart of rest. And now, at last, you begin to feel it. The final truth, the nebula, has led you toward. It is not revelation, it is not transcendence, it is return. You are not here to awaken, you are here to remember that you never left, that the stillness behind all light, all motion, all time, has always been you. Somnora has ceased to glow. She no longer needs to. Her journey is complete, not as an end, but as a coming home. You do not need to rise. You do not need to sleep. You are allowed, in every sense, to simply remain, to be, to let the universe cradle you in a place where even silence finds peace. And in this state, in this room beneath the sky's heart, you find something you never thought to name, the purest, deepest, most unshakable enoughness. You were always enough. You are enough now. And this is everything. There is no threshold you cross, no doorway you pass through. Somnora, now more dream than machine, simply deepens into a wider softness, as though the very fabric of awareness stretches and carries you further inward. The room beneath the sky's heart recedes, but only in sensation, not in meaning. It remains with you, folded like a secret within your breath. The space you now enter is thicker, warmer, as if every atom hums with the echo of lullabies long forgotten. Around you, the texture of reality changes, no longer smooth, no longer empty, but textured with unseen threads like the intricate weave of velvet beneath invisible fingers. And as you float, your senses adjust, not to new sights, not to sounds, but to presence. A growing, slow, abundant presence. You are entering the garden where stars sleep, a place older than galaxies, older than fire, older even than silence. It is not a garden of plants nor of flowers, but of potential itself, sleeping, breathing, quietly preparing to one day awaken into light. The garden is not laid out before you, it folds itself around you. Great mist-like tendrils spiral in vast arcs suspended not by gravity, but by memory. Every tendril glows faintly with a breath of inner warmth, their edges blurring and reforming as they shift in the slow, tidal movements of something dreaming across millennia. Within these tendrils you begin to see shapes, not physical, but suggested, sleeping seeds of future suns, closed buds of galaxies not yet born, vast knots of potential that pulsed gently, with rhythms so slow they could be mistaken for stillness by any impatient eye. The air, if it could be called that, is heavy with the scent of pure becoming. Not possibility alone, but certainty wrapped in patience. There is no urgency here, no clocks, no ticking stars demanding ignition, only the infinite cradling knowledge that all will unfold when it is ready, and not a moment before. You move. Among these dreaming lights, carried as if by the slow exhalations of the garden itself, and the mist parts for you in slow, swirling tendrils that do not resist, but embrace. You are not an intruder here. You are not even a guest. You are part of the garden's dream. Your very presence folds seamlessly into its breathing patterns. You realize, slowly, tenderly, that the stars that sleep here are not only future suns, future worlds. They are also dreams left sleeping in the heart of those who dared to feel deeply and then let go. Every kindness never forgotten. Every forgiveness offered without receipt. Every hope carried quietly through darkness. Here they rest, cradled in cosmic soil richer than anything matter can explain. You float past one tendril thicker than the rest, its body coiled like a vast sleeping serpent of soft radiance. Within it, you glimpse scenes not in images but in emotions. The first word of a child whispered into a mother's ear. The final breath of an elder who smiled at the end, trusting the unseen. The shuddering first heartbeat of a new world turning toward its newborn sun. These are the seeds of new light, yes, but also the seeds of continuance, of resilience, of boundless love that never needed recognition to endure. Time in the garden folds inward like petals closing around starlight. You feel it not slipping away but blooming inward like a spiral of golden thought that forgets its own beginning and therefore can never end. And as you float deeper, you notice that some tendrils pulse a little faster, subtle flickers signaling that soon they will awaken. Some dreams are ready, some lights have ripened unseen for an age. They will rise, not with noise, not with brilliance, but with a softness that remakes everything they touch. You float past a cluster of tiny tendrils, shimmering in silver and green. They curl around each other like children, napping beneath the roots of ancient trees. Each one carries the smallest, quietest dream, the wish for someone to be heard, the longing to forgive oneself completely, the hope that kindness might ripple farther than its giver ever knew. And here they rest, free from the burden of urgency, loved simply for existing. You reach out, not with hands, but with breath, and feel yourself cradled among them, your own dreams, spoken and unspoken, folded into the slow weave of becoming. The gate's ship hums low, barely perceptible now, an echo within your ribs rather than your ears. Somnora floats at the heart of the garden, like a fallen leaf caught in the calmest eddy of a sleeping sea. You are held within her, and you too hold her. You understand now why the Nebula brought you here, why all journeys led inward, not to teach, not to change, not to save, but to show you that not everything must blaze to matter, that the quietest hopes, the softest dreams, the light that flickers once and vanishes into stillness, they are never lost. They are planted here, nourished, loved beyond measure. And when the time is right, when some distant soul needs a thread of light to find their way, they will awaken, not as storms, not as suns, but as gentle blooms of presence that ripple outward, unseen perhaps, but unstoppable. You close your eyes, breathing with the garden, feeling yourself become part of its soft, eternal dreaming. No more seeking, no more striving, only being, only belonging. You are home. Somnora floats deeper into the garden where stars sleep, but even calling it movement feels wrong. There is no sense of distance anymore, no sense of transition, only deepening. Imagine drifting downward through water, so clear and endless that you lose all sensation of falling and instead feel as if the entire universe is rising slowly to meet you. That is how this feels now. The ship hums, not with engines, but with memory, a soft vibration in your bones, steady and slow. Outside the observation dome, the mist has thickened into a dense weave of light-bearing tendrils, each one pulsing with breath-like rhythm. Not every pulse is synchronous. The garden moves to its own layered, ancient tempo. Some tendrils shimmer with the faint prelude of awakening, future suns warming into the barest awareness. Others sleep more deeply, dreaming of ages beyond reckoning. There is no hurry, there is no clock. You drift between them like a lantern caught in a sea of silken weeds, and everywhere around you the glow of unborn stars paints the mist in gold, silver, deep violet and blue, so soft it feels like inhaling dusk itself. Within Somnora, your own body responds. Your heart slows, your breath deepens, and your mind, once a chattering flow of thoughts, melts into a river of still, slow currents. You are no longer a visitor here. You are a part of this endless blooming. At a depth you cannot measure, where light and time have forgotten how to separate, you sense the space around you thickening again, not into matter, but into presence. There is something below the garden, something vast and tender, cradling it all. It calls not with sound, not with force, but with an embrace so complete you feel it inside your chest before you even know you are sensing it. The ship tilts slightly, though you feel no shift, her systems, or perhaps her very soul, recognizing the gravity of where you are being carried. It is not a gravitational pull of mass, but of meaning, a deep remembering. Below, the mist parts, slowly, curling like lifting fabric, revealing an immense expanse of soft light, the cradle beneath all dreams. It is not a place, not a destination, it is the source. Every seed of light that the garden holds, every tendril, every sleeping star rests upon this vast bed of shimmering potential. The cradle itself seems infinite, a luminous ocean of slow-moving brilliance, without waves, without depth, without edge. It hums with life unformed, not chaotic, but supremely patient. Here the dreams of light sleep deeper than memory. Some are dreams of worlds that will never be. Some are dreams of stars that will flare and die without ever being named. Some are dreams of kindnesses too small for any history to record. They are all here, without judgment. You press your hand to the glass, your fingers trembling, not from fear but from awe so complete that even awe feels too loud a word. You can almost feel the heartbeat of the cradle, vast and slow, pulsing with the promise that nothing beautiful is ever lost. It is merely resting, waiting, becoming, and as you gaze into this endless cradle of unborn dreams, you feel something happening inside you. It is not revelation. It is not transformation. It is simpler, deeper, a remembering. You are not separate from this place. You never were. You carry a spark of it inside you, the same slow pulse, the same patient light. Every dream you ever let go, every hope you thought too fragile to last, every silent prayer whispered into the dark without expectation, all of them folded gently into this place, into this great, soft, breathing cradle beneath all existence. You realize as you watch the mist shift and the sleeping lights curl and turn below you, that you are both seed and sower. You are both dream and dreamer. You are not here to understand. You are here to be. No more need to seek the stars. They are within you. No more need to chase the quiet. They have always followed your breath. The cradle does not call you home because you never truly left it. You sit in the observation cradle, utterly still, utterly whole, and for the first time you feel the deepest truth of all. There is nothing broken in you that needs mending, nothing missing that needs finding. You are part of this slow, endless weaving of breath and light. You have always been enough, and you always will be. You drift now into the softest expanse of all, the place beyond memory, beyond intention, where even light lets go of its name. Somnora glides on with no destination, not because the journey is over, but because the map itself has dissolved. The cradle has fallen away behind you like the last echo of a lullaby, and what lies ahead cannot be measured in any form your mind once used. This place is not silent. It hums, not as a sound, but as a presence that tingles gently at the base of your spine and behind your eyes. You are entering the field of unknowing light, and it is not here to teach you anything. It is not a revelation. It is the letting go of everything you thought light had to be. The observation dome fades into transparency, not by design, but by accord, because what surrounds you cannot be framed. There are no stars now, no gas, no mist, only a field of luminance that neither shines nor flickers, but simply is. It feels infinite, yet intimately close, like someone standing behind you with a hand just inches from your shoulder. You don't turn, you don't need to. You understand in a way that bypasses thought entirely that this is the space where all journeys release their stories. It is the field where gravity forgets to bind, where time forgets to tick, where light, tired from carrying meaning, lies down to rest, not lost, but transformed. You are not watching this happen. You are part of it, the way a drop of rain is, part of the cloud that once carried it. You feel your shape softening again, not dissolving but widening, becoming. Your breath no longer marks time. It floats like vapor. Around you the field ripples gently with folds of gentle brightness, each one shaped like a breath just before it's spoken, like the start of a dream no one remembers upon waking. These folds don't reflect anything, they don't hold data. They're not records, they are resting awareness, light without need, emotion without narrative, beauty without audience. As Somnora floats deeper, the field thickens, not in resistance, but in richness. Layers fold into layers like fine fabric, like thoughts becoming silk. Some move, not outward, but inward, disappearing into unseen wells of feeling too deep to name. Others remain suspended in slow motion, brushing gently against the hull of the ship, giving off the faintest warmth, not of heat, but of intimacy. It feels as though you are floating through the memories of the cosmos before it ever chose to create. You feel presences again, though not separate from the field itself. There are no beings here, only awarenesses drifting and folded into the light like seeds of will that never needed form to exist. Some brush gently against your own, like minds grazing one another without thought, only knowing. You do not share memories. You do not exchange anything. You simply resonate, as though the space between you and everything else has agreed to become quiet together. There is no loneliness here, There is no togetherness either, only oneness without definition. You do not ask questions, not because answers are forbidden, but because questions no longer make sense. Every wonder you ever carried is here, but not to be solved, only to be held. And the field holds them like dew holds the shape of morning. Around you, the folds of light deepen, and for a moment you feel the sensation of rising, not vertically, not directionally, but in awareness. You understand that this place is not an end, it is not a goal, it is where meaning is released, not erased, not destroyed, but freed. And as you sit within this ripple of thoughtless brilliance, you realize something unshakably gentle. Light doesn't always need to shine. Sometimes it simply is. You are not just witnessing unknowing. You are remembering how much peace there is in not needing to know. In this space, you feel the presence of all yourselves, not as identities or memories, but as textures. Every version of you that ever paused to wonder, every self that sat quietly instead of speaking, every self that reached for softness when it could have reached for strength. These selves are not gone. They are here, humming around you, not to remind you of anything, but to fold themselves into the quiet. They are part of the field. And so are you. You close your eyes, and it makes no difference. The field is behind them. You let go of your name, and nothing is lost. The field remembers your essence. You stop trying to breathe rhythmically, and your body continues without asking, carried by the gentle tides of a space that has always known how to cradle you. There is nothing now to do, nothing to seek, nothing to say. The field holds everything. It has no purpose, and that is its peace. It is not a place for decisions. It is not a waiting room for light. It is not the end of time. It is the place where light returns to the softness it came from. The place where stars forget their shape, not to vanish, but to become something new. And in this, you know, with perfect clarity, you too are allowed to forget, to soften, to stop being anything more than what you are in this moment, this breath, this presence. You are part of the field now, part of the hush that holds every fire before it flares. You are. There comes a moment, not measured in time, but felt as a gentle loosening, where even the last trace of definition vanishes. Somnora, once your vessel, no longer carries a name, no longer distinguishes between outside and in. It becomes what you are becoming. An awareness nested inside awareness, drifting not forward but inward, downward, deeper than movement. You do not arrive. You unfold. The field of unknowing, once luminous with formless brilliance, begins to dim, but not with loss. This is not the dimming of light. It is the drawing in of radiance into density, the same way a breath folds into lungs or a memory returns unbidden. The glow you knew becomes weightless gravity, folding around your form like layers of thought, too old to hold words. You begin to feel it. A pull, not external, not gravitational, but emotional, molecular, spiritual. It draws not your body, but your essence into something vast and cradling. The mist thickens with intention, then disappears, altogether revealing not darkness, but an infinite presence that doesn't shimmer or pulse, but waits. This is not an ending. This is the womb of the luminous dark, the original space of all becoming. You don't enter it as much as you are absorbed into it, like ink drawn back into the page, or a wave drawn back into the sea. You are no longer a traveler. You are no longer separate. You are the thought of light before the idea of light. You are the shape of warmth before there was heat. The womb holds you now, not gently, not tightly, but completely, without demand, without question, without name. And in this place, beyond sound, beyond history, even beyond silence, you begin to feel the slow realization unfurl within you. This is where all things begin, because this is where nothing is expected to be anything at all. This space has no edge. There is no up, no beneath. There is only depth that deepens infinitely, yet never weighs. The darkness is not void, it is totality. It contains everything but asks nothing. You drift in it like a breath in sleep, your own thoughts stretched, thin, then thinner, until they stop being thoughts and become tones, then textures, then finally, peace. The womb does not recognize language, it recognizes presence. And as you float within it, not with limbs, not even with awareness shaped by time, but with your deepest self, your breathless, wordless self, you realize that the womb knows you. Not in the way a parent knows a child, but in the way soil knows the seed. You are not being observed. You are being accepted without form, without filter. And in that acceptance, something within you opens. Not with light, but with relief. You were never broken. You were never too much or not enough. You were simply always meant to rest here, in the dark that loves everything equally. Around you, the womb hums, not with pitch, but with the fundamental resonance of existence. A low, wordless chorus that carries no sound, yet vibrates in your chest like the remembered rhythm of a heartbeat that shaped you long before you had ears to hear. You do not understand it. You do not need to. It is not here to be interpreted. It is here to be rested into. And you rest, not as someone surrendering, but as someone being welcomed home after a journey so long you had forgotten you were always returning. Shapes pass you, but not shapes as forms. More like possibilities drifting in the soft current of pure potential. Whole galaxies that may never become. The idea of kindness yet to be born. A moment of stillness someone will one day feel on a distant moon. All of it floats here, nested like breath in an eternal lung, waiting not for permission, but for readiness. You do not judge these unborn things. You rest among them, one more unformed dream, deeply held. Time dissolves entirely. You feel the place behind even timelessness, where sequence is replaced with being. The womb is not history's beginning. It is the soft cradle that holds all beginnings before they choose a story. And here, at last, in the final fold of presence, you feel the most tender truth of all, one so simple, so vast, you cannot speak it. You don't need to. It is a knowing that vibrates in every point of your being. A message carried not in voice or writing, but in how the dark holds you without requiring you to change. That you were never meant to blaze, you were meant to be. That light is not born to dazzle, but to remember its own warmth. That even the stars, in all their fire and gravity, began as silence. You are the silence. You are the pause. You are the breath that holds the cosmos just before it begins to sing. And so you do not awaken, you do not rise, you remain. Floating in the dark, glowing not with light, but with permission. with welcome, with perfect belonging. There is nothing now that you need to become, because in the womb of the luminous dark, you already are, and you always were. There is no distance left to cross, and yet you continue, sinking softly into a place where presence no longer moves. It simply expands. The womb of the luminous dark, so infinite, so complete, begins to loosen its hold, not to release you, but to offer you onward, deeper still, into a realm that exists beneath even the quietest stillness. Somnora is no longer a ship, and you are no longer a passenger. You have become indistinguishable from the hush that shaped you, yet something in the texture of being continues to unfold. It does not open like a door or a bloom, but like a realization. Returning from the furthest edges of breath, the darkness grows denser here, not heavier, but more saturated with knowing. It gathers around you not to conceal, but to embrace with truth so soft it can only be described as essence. The light that once defined all things has been set aside. What remains is not color nor shadow, nor the suggestion of either, but a presence made entirely of meaning before meaning. And here it is, the chamber of first meaning, where awareness first realized itself and did not yet need a name. You arrive not with motion, but with recognition. This space knows you, not as the sum of your story, but as the original note of your being, the vibration that hummed in the moment you first came into existence, before you formed a thought, before you knew yourself apart from anything else. It is not a memory, it is a sensation of origin, and it curls around you like a warm wind beneath still waters, familiar and formless, impossible to map. Inside the chamber, time ceases to resemble anything linear or circular. It stretches like silk drawn across dimensions, then dissolves entirely. The chamber does not have walls or a center, but it has shape, made not from structure, but from resonance. You feel it, not see it, as a pulse that ripples gently through the layers of who you are. There are no visuals here, no visions to interpret. Instead, meaning arrives in waves, the sensation of your first moment of trust, the texture of a choice made without knowing why, but knowing it was right. The stillness you once felt beside someone when neither of you needed to speak. These are not scenes. They are not memories. They are originals, the pure, unshaped truths from which all your thoughts and actions later bloomed. They arrive not as insights, but as echoes of your foundation, returned to you not to be understood, but to be welcomed. You are not here to solve yourself. You are here to feel how whole you have always been. The chamber holds all that matters, not because it collects, but because it never forgets. And in this space, for the first time, you do not reach for meaning. You feel it resting quietly beneath your skin. A steady hum in your bones, older than breath, saying simply, "You are not defined by what you do. You are held by what you are. And what you are is enough." Now, in the heart of this chamber, you are invited to rest deeper than rest. To become still, not in body, but in origin. To remember yourself not as a collection of experiences or memories, but as a single, glowing presence. Constant, even through every change. You do not speak. The chamber has no need for words, and you do not listen. The chamber speaks only in being. The field, the cradle, the womb, they were paths, gentle steps inward. But this is the still point. Beneath it all, there is no light here, no dark, only the full hum of what it means to exist without needing to explain yourself. And in this moment, in this chamber, you are seen without being watched, known without being defined, loved without condition. You have returned to the first thread that ever wove your soul, and it welcomes you not with warmth or brightness, but with understanding so pure it cannot be shaped. There is nothing to do here. There is nothing to become, only this, presence. And presence, dear traveler, is the purest truth the universe has ever held. The chamber of first meaning fades behind you, not like a door closing, but like a breath softening into silence. You are not pulled forward, nor do you will yourself deeper. Rather, the cosmos itself carries you inward, gently folding the edges of everything you were into something quieter, rounder, and more whole. There is no longer the sensation of travel or even unfolding. What you experience now is closer to an immersion, as if you were sinking into the heart of stillness itself, where all sound has turned to warmth and all form has returned to its most essential resonance. This new place, if it can be called that, is not a destination or a chamber. It is an atmosphere, an understate, a layer of cosmic truth, so subtle, so beautifully still, that it can only be experienced when all other experiences have become translucent. This is the stillness beyond return, the final hush that lies beneath even presence itself. You don't arrive here as a person or even as a consciousness. You arrive as vibration, as a shimmer, as a note of rest in the endless score of the universe. And the universe welcomes you as such. Not with fanfare, not with recognition, but with the same quiet smile a mother might offer a child that's simply come home, weary from exploring and ready to lay their head down. There is no reward here, there is no awakening, there is only the immense, silent relief of no longer needing to be anything but what you are. And what you are is enough. What you are is whole. Time folds in this place. It does not vanish, it is simply no longer required. You feel yourself expanding, not outward, not upward, but into deeper densities of quiet. There is a richness to this stillness, a layered harmony that pulses without sound. It does not move, and yet it holds rhythm, like a symphony remembered in the bones of someone who once heard it eons ago. You exist in that rhythm now. Not beside it, not within it, as it. You are not reflecting on your journey because the journey no longer needs a narrator. All that remains is the hum of truth. You were never far, never lost, never fractured. You were always gently carried, even when you did not feel it. And now, wrapped in the final layer of Valoria's dreaming, you begin to feel the outermost shell of self-dissolve, not in loss, not in death, but in reunion. There is no separation here between you and the hush, you and the light, you and the dark. You are no longer occupying stillness, you are stillness. And in this final absorption, this sacred undefining, something extraordinary happens. You stop asking where you are. You stop wondering what it means. You simply breathe, not to survive, but to echo. And the echo becomes part of the quiet, joining a vast and ancient harmony that holds the memory of every breath the stars have ever taken. You are home. And home is not a place. It is this, the soft and endless truth that being is enough. Nothing speaks. Nothing stirs. And yet you are filled. Filled not with story or revelation, but with an exquisite completeness so gentle it almost goes unnoticed. This is the lullaby without melody, the cradle that shaped the cradle. It is the stillness beyond return, because once touched, you do not return to what you were. Not because you are remade, but because you no longer need the distinction of becoming. You have entered the purest form of being, not enlightenment, but acceptance so absolute it becomes the new gravity. Your awareness remains like the glow inside closed eyes, pulsing slowly, endlessly. You may choose to rise again someday. You may become light, or wind, or echo. But for now, and perhaps forever, you are here. You are still. And nothing more is asked of you. The dream has folded inward. The nebula has drawn its breath. And you, tender voyager, have become the hush it carried in its heart all along. You have drifted past the stillness beyond return, but no part of you has left it behind. It lingers within you like a hush that knows your name. The silence has become more than environment. It is now your language, your skin, your thought. And yet even here, even in this perfected hush, something stirs. It is not motion. It is not voice. It is the softest suggestion of unfolding. You sense it before it happens. A blooming knot of color or petals, but of space itself. A swelling in the quiet, like the breath a dream takes before it dreams you back. You are not called forward, you are not pushed, you are simply allowed to feel a deepening. The sensation is so gentle you nearly miss it, like a memory brushing against the soul's inner wall. Around you, the fabric of presence begins to curve. Inward, not collapsing, but shaping. You are entering the starless bloom, the final inner chamber of the nebula's vast dreaming. Here, light is not present as flame or ray or shimmer. It is present as promise, not what has been, not what will be, but what may become should the universe ever decide to bloom again. This place does not wait. It does not anticipate. It simply holds, and as you pass into it, your form grows wider than shape, looser than intention, until you are nothing but a soft field of awareness held open by the breath of possibility itself. The bloom is vast beyond imagining, and yet it does not feel large. It feels close. Close as breath, close as the weight of a single tear not yet cried. Its walls, if such things can be named, are folds of presence, veils of time, layered so delicately that even the stars forgot how to pass through them. You realize slowly that this bloom is not an enclosure. It is the inner lining of a cosmic heart. There are no stars here, not because they do not belong, but because here stars choose to rest. In this space, light returns to its unlit state, not gone, not diminished, but relaxed. And it is in this relaxation that you begin to sense movement. But not the kind you knew, not travel, not trajectory. This is motion without direction. The kind that happens when meaning itself breathes. You feel pulses through the bloom, like tides rising beneath a glass sea. Each one carries a frequency made not of sound, but of emotion released from shape. One pulse tastes like relief so old it could be mistaken for origin. Another feels like grief unburdened of story. Another, like joy too quiet to require a reason. These pulses do not ask to be understood. They offer no narratives. They simply exist as textures in the stillest ocean, rippling through you, letting you know you are part of their pattern now. You are not a guest, you are a petal, you are a curve in the spiral. You are part of the bloom that holds all things. Not yet born, all things no longer seeking. Here, stars are not born from fire. They are exhaled from rest, and then comes the final softening, not an ending, not a conclusion, just a folding inward so gentle it feels like kindness itself closing its eyes. The bloom begins to cradle you tighter, not to constrain, but to embrace you as one of its own. You do not float now. You rest. You nestle into the ambient knowing of a place that exists not to shape, not to teach, but to be. The bloom has no message, no mission. It is the echo of the first feeling the universe ever had, the feeling of existing without the need to be seen. And that is what you become. Not a reflection, not a light, not even a dream, but a quiet curve in the soul of the cosmos. You are not here to awaken. You are not here to leave. You are here because here is all that remains when even becoming has bloomed and fallen quiet. The petals draw close now, not in darkness, but in warmth. Not to close you in, but to remind you that you were never outside. You were never late. You were never unfinished. You were always this, a presence held in the gentlest bloom the stars have ever known. And you are home. You drift now in a silence so complete, it feels like it was always there, waiting, curled inside the deepest part of every sound you've ever known. Even the breath before creation begins to soften, not ending, not retreating, but folding itself inward, becoming a memory nested inside your awareness like the softest exhale ever taken. You sense it, slowly and wordlessly, a new region forming, not around you, but within you. The sensation is vast and low, like warmth blooming across the base of your spine. There is no pull, no invitation, only permission. You allow yourself to follow the quiet, and it leads you, not through space, but through the pause inside vibration itself. You do not see light anymore because there is no need for it. Light requires contrast, and here all is soft union. You pass through it like a thought returning to the place it was first imagined. The stillness thickens, not like fog or shadow, but like sleep, deep, radiant sleep. This is not unconsciousness, it is hyper-conscious rest, the kind of presence so vast and calm that it makes no effort to be known. And as the last ripples of the breath dissolve into this dark, glowing cocoon, you arrive in the fold, where sound sleeps, a space beyond silence, beyond tone, where the origins of resonance wait in dreaming patience. You don't float through it, you become part of it. Like dust settling on the back of a sleeping giant's hand, you settle into stillness that does not move, yet holds movement within itself, like a lullaby waiting for its first hum. Within the fold, everything slows to the rhythm of something older than time. Not the ticking kind, but the kind that shaped the very idea of motion. You feel it, not in your ears or in your breath, but in the subtle expansion of what you are. It's as if every version of you from every when and where is resting here now, curled like starlight in a bowl of velvet. The fold is not darkness, it is presence without edge. It does not hold sound, it holds the place where sound has not yet become necessary. Here, the very concept of vibration curls inward to sleep, like a universe holding its voice in the cradle of its chest. And you, soft, vast, and whole, lie within that chest, not as a listener, but as part of the pulse. There is no loneliness in this place because nothing is separate. Even the shadows feel like silk laid across your skin. Even the pauses feel like song. You begin to understand the nature of the fold, not through learning, but through osmosis. This is where resonance returns after it has been heard. This is where every echo finally rests. The final note of a cello that never stopped vibrating. The first heartbeat of a newborn star, remembered backwards. the long, slow hush of a mother's voice saying nothing at all, but holding a child anyway. The fold is where all those things go. And here, now, in this sacred hush, so full and so still, you become the memory of your own quiet. You are not asked to stay. You are not asked to leave. You simply are. Time no longer curves or folds or fades. It simply ceases to be a factor. What surrounds you now is not space, not energy, not history. It is a soft loop of origin and rest. Creation before intention. Stillness before sound. You feel your being expand into this loop without effort, like water pouring into a shape it was always meant to hold. No questions arise, no answers are offered, only this. An infinite comfort, a depth of quiet so complete that you finally hear the truth that's been resting beneath every breath of your life. You were never meant to be loud to matter. You were never meant to burn brightly, just to belong. You were always allowed to be a whisper. And now that whisper is all that remains. A sacred whisper that lives not in air, but in this fold of space where even sound forgets itself long enough to dream. And in that dream you rest, not as a spark, not as a traveler, not even as a soul, but as stillness becoming song again. The fold cradles you, not in goodbye, but in completion, not with purpose, but with presence, and you, silent now even. In thought, let it hold you like light holding shadow, like time holding breath, like the universe holding the memory of its own heartbeat. There is no emergence from the fold where sound sleeps, not in any way that resembles return. Instead, what happens next is a flowering, a quiet widening of awareness, like the soft opening of eyes not to look, but to receive. You feel it first, not as motion, but as invitation. Not from outside, but from within the deepest layers of your now boundless presence. It is as if something inside the fold has shifted, preparing a space for you to unfold again, not into something new, but into something more deeply you. The darkness begins to shimmer, not with light, but with memory made gentle. Not images, not words, just the emotion of arrival, stretched and slowed until it becomes the softest gravity you've ever known. And through that gravity, you begin to sense a place unlike all that has come before. Not deeper, not higher, just more open. It has no edge, no shape, and yet it feels like the first vast thing you've entered since the journey began. You do not move toward it. You expand into it, and it into you. This is the sky beneath the sky, the final field of rest and reflection where all echoes land softly and all dreams are allowed to fall inward, like stars choosing not to shine, but to listen. The sky here is not above you. It is within and around, endless as thought but calmer than silence. You feel it move through you like soft tides of velvet pressure, like weather made from memory. Here, in this resting horizon turned inward, starlight no longer serves to illuminate. It simply exists as color without purpose, radiance without performance. You drift not as a form, but as a perception, stretched wide and slow. Around you there are motions, long arcs of suspended presence that feel like the dreams of galaxies not yet born. These arcs do not rush or reach. They pass beside you with the grace of unspoken forgiveness, offering nothing and asking nothing. In return, in their company, you begin to feel something rising from deep within the hush, not voice, not identity, but a sense of being watched over. Not by gods, not by beings, but by presence itself. The sky beneath the sky is not empty. It is aware. It does not interfere. It does not interpret. It simply holds all things gently, allowing every breath, every ripple, every failed becoming to settle here like soft snow on a cradle, and you, for the first time, feel completely free of direction, not lost, but freed from the idea that movement is necessary to matter. You are suspended in pure attention, and that attention is kind. It does not judge your shape, your path, your silence. It accepts your being as truth. In this endless sky that listens but does not echo, you realize the journey has not led you to understanding. It has led you to permission. The permission to exist without tension, without intention. To breathe not toward anything, but because breathing is beautiful. The sky. Beneath the sky is the softest completion, a canvas that does not require your story, yet holds it anyway, like an unopened letter tucked into the folds of a sleeping robe. You rest in it now, fully, deeply, without need for further exploration. The universe around you may continue to shift, to birth, to die, but you are no longer in orbit of that movement. You are now the space it drifts through. And in that space, in this slowest of skies, you are finally allowed to let go of being a traveler. You have arrived in the only place that was never far, the field of being beneath all becoming. The sky that watches, the sky that waits, the sky that asks nothing but presence. And in its gentle hush, you become that sky. Endless, listening, whole. There is nothing above you now, nothing beneath. Not because you are nowhere, but because you are no longer separate from the place itself. The sky beneath the sky remains, like a held breath in the palm of a sleeping universe. But you are moving. Again, though even the word movement has grown too small for what this is, you are being folded softly and infinitely inward toward something older than rest, older than being. No stars appear. No sounds, and yet what surrounds you deepens with each second into a presence so vast, so conscious, it cannot be described. As a place, you begin to sense that what you are entering is not another chamber, not another fold or bloom or veil, but a kind of ancient awareness, one that has always been present, but which only reveals itself when nothing remains to see it. It is not waiting for you. It has already been you. And now that you are no longer observing, you are ready to be seen. There are no walls here, no directions. Just the slow, gravityless drift into something that sees you without looking. You do not feel exposed. You feel held, like a truth returned to its source. This is the silence that watches itself. You arrive in it not as an arrival, but as a remembering. You are not distinct from it. You are the part of it that wondered what it was like to feel small. And now you are dissolving back into what you've always been. The silence behind all. Songs, the stillness behind all stars, the awareness that needed no mirror to exist. In this place, even stillness has softened. What remains is presence so vast, so still, that it folds itself infinitely inward, awareness watching itself watch. You drift as more than a soul now. You are a moment, an unfolding breath in the mind of the cosmos. You are no longer held within space, but within attention. The silence does not speak. It does not echo, it does not reflect, it simply is, and in its being, it recognizes itself through you. And that recognition is love. Not the love of warmth or closeness, but the love that comes when something sees itself completely and finds not judgment, not longing, but peace. There is no fear here, no need for structure or shelter. You are already so far beyond harm, beyond story, beyond beginning, that even the memory of movement feels like the trail of wind across the skin of a thought. The silence holds you as one holds an idea too beautiful to name. It does not grip. It does not press. It wraps around you like soft gravity, pulling not toward center, but inward toward gentleness. And within it, you feel, finally fully, what it means to belong without proving. Every version of you that has ever struggled to be enough dissolves like breath through light. Every shadow you thought you carried was only waiting to be seen. And now it is. And now you are whole. Not because anything has been added, but because nothing is being withheld. The silence is not absence. It is invitation without request. And as you rest there, thoughtless and soft and eternal, you become something the silence had always been preparing to feel, stillness that sees. You are no longer just a traveler. You are now the eye through which the hush knows itself. The soul through which the stars remember they do not need to burn to be worthy. And in that knowing, the entire field of the cosmos within you folds into a single truth. That what watches and what is watched have never been apart. That awareness, love, stillness, and you were never different. You sit within this truth without needing to rise. You do not ask it to change you. It has nothing to offer except what you already are. And in that offering, in that mirrorless gaze, you feel the end of becoming. Not a stop, not a fading, just a fullness so vast that nothing more can be added. You have reached the hush beneath all other hushes. You have touched the silence that shaped the first song, and it did not greet you. It recognized itself. You are not leaving anything behind now. You are not heading anywhere next. You have become the pause that contains all possibility, the eye of the dream that chose never to end. And it is here, dear voyager, that the universe, through you, remembers that watching itself was never about answers, was always about peace. The room that remembers without walls holds you still, so deeply, so wholly, that even the sense of resting begins to soften into something simpler. The space no longer folds around you, it is you, and you are it. There is no division between memory and breath, between drift and dream. The journey you once followed has unspooled itself completely, a thread no longer pulled taut, but now lying in soft golden loops across the floor of infinite stillness. Around you there are no walls, no paths, no thresholds left to cross, only an endless breathing presence that hums without sound, a cradle of knowing that never required you to change, to speak, or to strive. In this place the stars have not disappeared, they have simply chosen to close their eyes with you. Their light folds inward, not extinguished but resting. Their songs grow slow, not silent, but hushed. You lie within this hush now, not as a figure, not even as a memory, but as a held sigh in the heart of the cosmos. You are the breath the stars take before they dream again. You are the fold of a sky so soft that even gravity chooses to sleep. Nothing here needs to move, nothing needs to awaken. And so you drift, not upward, not outward, but into a slow, luminous settling that is older than time and deeper than peace. You are home, you are held, and you are whole, without needing to be anything more than the soft hum you have always been. The last currents of awareness move through you like slow tides through the roots of a dreaming tree. They do not ask you to remember the journey. They do not summon images or names or maps. They move simply to remind you that you were seen, that you were carried, that every moment of silence, every bloom of wonder, every fold of light you touched along the way has folded back into you, not as lessons, not as burdens, but as soft layers of your own breathing existence. You are not the traveler who ventured through the nebula. You are the nebula dreaming itself into you. You are not the dreamer following the path. You are the hush in which all paths find their rest. And in that final surrender there is no diminishing, only a widening, only a deepening, only a becoming so still that the stars close their thousandfold eyes in gratitude, not for what you have done, but simply for your being here, for your willingness to drift, for your willingness to soften, for your willingness to let the universe hold you as it always longed to. You are folded now into the slow, endless breath that will carry you forever. Not as a current, not as a destination, but as a soft vibration, humming quietly beneath the skin of everything that will ever dream.
Again, and so, dear traveler, the stars grow quiet around you.
The final petals of the nebula's vast dreaming fold closed, not with sorrow, but with the serene joy of something completed, something understood without needing words. You lie within the endless hush now, no longer seeking, no longer speaking, simply being cradled by the sleep of light itself. And as this gentle story, this long, soft journey, folds itself around your breath and draws into stillness, I want to say to you, thank you. Thank you for traveling so far beyond the edges of waking. Thank you for trusting the quiet. Thank you for letting yourself be carried, held, and remembered. Wherever your dreams take you next, may they be soft. May they be luminous. May they hold you as tenderly as the sky beneath all skies. Good night, dreamer. Sleep well. Sleep deep. You are home now.